for the delay. I was trying out my new camera, and apparently that's not working, so that's great. Thought it was a wire issue before. Had a friend fix it. Apparently, that's not enough. So apparently we're talking to Chaeiry tonight. I have no idea what to expect from that, so. Hey, Daedalus, hey, Connor. Erudite was going off so hard on you in her stream a couple of hours ago, really? That's interesting. Worst case of Dunning-Kruger. You know, I found that kind of strange. So the reason why I research the hell out of things, and why I prepare, like, to an absurd degree whenever I engage with anybody, is the opposite. I anticipate that I'm going to fuck up everything. And I try really, really hard to not do so. That's one of the reasons I was really pissed off when Wicked Supreme was trying to brute force a conversation right now, because I like to have my stuff in front of me and prepared. I like to think about what I'm going to say in advance of saying it, because I don't think I'm like an omnicompetent genius. I'm very aware of my limitations. I cannot say that for, I cannot say that for Erudite. However, given that she's probably talking about the Destiny conversation today with Aaron, it stands to reason that this would be on YouTube. This might actually be easy to find. Well, we have time to kill anyways, so let's see. Oh, indeed, there was something. 46 minutes ago. Interesting. Okay. Let's take a look. Is there a transcript for this? No, of course not. Well, we'll take a look anyways. I'm just gonna zoom this in a little bit because... Oh, why is that? Should not be... Maybe center to screen? Maybe... There we go, that's what I want. I guess I can't make it any larger. That's a face for a thumbnail right there. That is a thumbnail-worthy face. In any event. Well... I guess just zoom through this quickly. Where was she speaking about? This is 5 hours. Oh my god. So it must have been recent if you're talking about it now. Thank you, Smith Black, for the $5. Mr. Girl burnt the bridge and the orbiter system is failing. Destiny likes the drama, I guess. I don't think the orbiter system is failing. I think the problem, though, is anybody with characters just kind of dropping off completely. I mean, it's testament to the state of things when Mr. Girls, who I'm referring to by people with character. Oh, God. Oh, I think Chaeiry might have messaged me just now. Oh, there we go. Yeah, she's gonna eat first, so we've got a couple minutes, I think. Yeah. Okay, perfect. That's fine. Apparently, Erudite was up to shenanigans. Take your time. Okay. Come on, get out of my way, wires. There we go. Got really freaking cold today all of a sudden. What was I doing? Right, Erudite. So I guess... Oh, there's me. There's me. Yeah, I often have that effect, I understand. I understand, it's okay. Alright. Well. Full bore into the abyss.
Okay, hold on.
No, now. No holding on. Holding on is for cowards.
We gotta.
No, we don't.
We gotta review this.
Gotta review.
Okay. We're gonna watch the Sunday version because their conversation afterwards. As you can see, I've watched some of it. I haven't watched all of it. I watched up to like this point.
She watches my show. She pre-watches my show.
But we're gonna go back, boys, because it's amazing. When does she actually join? Okay, 4730.
Students or whatever that you're saying would be aggrieved.
That is not where she joins. Wait.
In the presence of like white students participating.
Shocked if you don't acknowledge it. That's who it's.
Wait, that's not where she started. What the fuck? The person just
Flowery,
lied.
progressive, unchallenged language whatsoever. But when you go through some of these other emails, and you sent one to me in the most, it seems pretty obvious that you're attempting to make students uncomfortable. If you show up
Or whatever to complete this like 8 hour.
Okay.
all that was sent.
This person is not the MVP. Downvote. Fuck. God.
Why are you trying to talk like Destiny? Have a little self-respect, lady.
If there was interest in
God, Jesus. You're not the MVP.
presentation and discussion of race through a scientific/evolutionary lens, I would be quite willing to organize such an event. It's material I've taught in my own programs and guest lectured on at Evergreen and elsewhere. That's where she characterizes the. Wait, you already made the claim that you think she should be fired, even though you don't even know.
What on earth is she
Will majority
eating?
read?
It's like a bucket of
like-
coleslaw?
White supremacy by doing it's unsafe for white students who want to focus on education. I guess we can listen to some student testimony if you want, but I don't think this is going to change your opinion because you know this argument is ridiculous. Obviously, people are going to be made to feel unsafe like this, right? Like if you show me, for instance, that there was a day of KKK Klansmen walking around on campus, and somebody said, you know, a bunch of people in white hoods walking around on campus.
By the way, this debate is going to age so well in like a week from now because I actually needed a clip that juxtaposed in the clearest terms the complete reversal of all of his older positions and his older evaluations of rhetorical tactics of the right, and he just gave it to us here. So even though I think Erin made some miscalculations in this conversation, I think she conceded things she shouldn't have. I think she misremembered some crucial details about the Evergreen issue, but she held her own nonetheless. And I think as a consequence of Destiny's hubris, because he was doing so well, he made concessions that are just mind-bogglingly stupid. Like, his credibility's gone at this point. I'm going to demonstrate why in a few days, but this is like... Man, this was bad. See, the cost to Erin is like nil. I wouldn't have advised going on today, not without preparation. There's only one reason why Destiny would have brought her on at this point, and that's just to basically do a rewrite of the previous two conversations once he's figured out his angle and he's actually had time to think about it. But even so, like, he was on the back foot in a few cases. Not in terms of framing for his audience, but he basically had nothing to draw upon except constant appeals to common sense, constant appeals to the common sense of a highly racist audience, might I add. It's just, it doesn't matter. But he does things, irrespective of the actual debate itself, he does things here that are going to come into play later, that are going to be important. But we're not looking at the debate with Destiny right now. Apparently, this one's up to shenanigans.
Probably made the black students feel uncomfortable. I'm not going to say, like, show me testimony. I need written testimony of that. It's going to be pretty obvious. Like, yeah, of course, the president are probably going to make some black people feel uncomfortable. I don't need testimony to believe that. I would probably just believe that that's self-evident.
That's why acrylic nails are gross, by the way. They collect food particles and everything, and you don't always catch them. It's always nasty when you see people with them working fast food.
But progressives should know this because you guys talk about social pressures and stuff all the
You said
time.
that they want white
Stop
students to go
picking
off
your
campus.
ear.
No one said that.
Erudite,
What?
Stop pulling
But
dead
nobody has
skin
said
out of
they
your
want
ear
that.
on stream. Ugh.
To this event, where he's saying he would be
Ugh.
quite willing to organize an event with, quote, a public presentation discussion of
Ugh.
race through a scientific/evolutionary
That's so
lens.
gross.
And especially given
Why
the
would you
record
do that?
evolutionary biology already has.
But no, don't eat the flakes. Ugh.
Treating contingent social phenomena as like genetically selected for,
What are you
regardless of whether
doing?
studies even replicate that assumption.
That's more evil psych.
She's just picking your ear and then eating it.
Evil psych has a much worse history. Evil biology doesn't have a bad history with this stuff, nearly to the extent that evil psych does. So that's not
What?
really true.
What the fuck are you talking about? Wait, what? What did you say?
To this event, where he's saying he would be, like, quote, quite willing to organize an event with, quote, a public presentation discussion of race through a scientific/evolutionary lens. And especially given the poor record that evolutionary biology already has of treating contingent social phenomena as
doing
like
that.
genetically selected for, regardless of whether studies even replicate that assumption.
That's more evil psych. Evil psych.
No. Okay, look. Here's the problem. She's right. Evo Psych has a lot more racism in it than evolutionary biology in modern day university. However, here's the catch. We're not talking about that distinction when we're talking about Brett Weinstein's email. We're talking about him treating race as if it's an appropriate term of art for evolutionary biology or from the lens of science, which is precisely the contention that a modern scientist would have against Brett in this case. Because, no, race, as we talk about it today with reference to, like, the Aryan race or whatever, that's a really modern invention. That's something that only comes into play in the past couple hundred years. And it's heavily social. It's about as useless a concept scientifically, evolutionarily, as the idea of continents is to biology, geography. And we'll talk about that in a future video soon as well. The problem with what Brett's doing is he's giving the impression that in as an alternative to an event that is concerned with educating about systemic racism and the history of racism in the United States, and as that is like explanations for modern day inequity, unequal treatment with respect to the law, things like that, he's going to offer an explanation of race and biology. The direct implication being that these social ills that we are talking about, well, there is an evolutionary reason for them. And that's actually the only reasonable explanation. Somebody actually made a really good analogy earlier under the debate video on my channel. Let me see if I can't pull it up quickly. It was really poignant. Yeah, exactly. So someone called Decoy Duck under this video, in fact, that Erudite is reviewing, said this. Imagine offering a lecture on the biological differences between men and women in response to a call for men to walk out of classes in solidarity with a women's march. This is the level Brett acted on, and it's nothing short of his spite that keeps Destiny from seeing that. Exactly, that was really well put. That's the problem. The issue is not that Brett was offering a discussion on this topic. The issue is that he was offering a discussion on this topic framed in this way against an event where it is precisely that casting of these concepts that is going to be one of the things interrogated. Because it is precisely the idea that there's a scientific basis for talking about race in particular, and not simply the scientific critique of race as a concept. That's going to come up in those conversations and in those workshops. That's going to be a highly relevant issue for discussions of anti-racism and allyship and all that kind of thing. So, and Destiny knows this. He's not stupid. This was grossly opportunistic, and he legitimately thinks at this point that literally nothing he says matters and there is no record. There is. The problem is that he's sort of blind to it because he's constantly in transition between communities. He hasn't actually gotten to a point yet where he's really accountable to any stable community because he's still able to just cycle out people as they disagree with him, which he's been doing. That's not always going to be the case.
Psych has a much worse history. Evil biology doesn't have a bad history with this stuff, nearly to the extent that evil psych does. So that's not really true.
In the context
that is really true though. I mean, from its inception, as a matter of fact. Like, have you? I highly doubt she's even heard of Darwin's Descent of Man. But like, no, this goes way back. Evolutionary biology dovetails. It's sort of almost coeval with. It basically is coeval with like Malthusian logic. It's rife with this stuff.
Discussion how people should be treated on campus, the role of different people, racism on campus.
But yeah, in present day, you're going to find most actual like sort of covert scientific racism as far as the biologies are concerned in EvoPsych. I guess that's psychology, but you get what I'm saying.
That is such a cute emote, Egghead. Thank you for the $2.99.
Etc. You don't think that the statement without context is already provocative, to say the least, if that's what he's providing as an alternative to this?
You're giving me the statement without context. I can read the full email for you, and you can tell me if anything in here sounds like objectionable. Dear Rashida, yeah. When you first described the new structure for day of absence / day of presence at a past faculty meeting where no room was left for questions, I thought I must have misunderstood what you said. Later emails seemed to muddy the waters further while inviting commitments.
Hey Sunday, you're going to respond to my DM on. I didn't see a DM on Discord. Hang on. What is this? If you just sent it now, I'm not constantly checking Discord DMs. I do actually have a life besides this. Let's see. Oh, that from what? Hang on. No, I'm not having like a debate on the validity of trans identities right now. I'm sorry. That's a long topic, and I'll give you reading material. We can chat about it later, but there's a lot going on. Like this is a full-time job, guys. I'm sorry. I can't just like have random 200-page personal lectures on this.
To participate. I now see from the bold-faced text in this email that I had indeed understood your words correctly. There is a huge difference between a group or coalition deciding to voluntarily absent themselves from a shared space in order to highlight their vital and underappreciated roles, the theme of the Douglas Turner wordplay Day of Absence, as well as the recent Women's Day walkout, and a group or coalition encouraging another group to go away. The first is a forceful call to consciousness.
Yes, I'll respond to you, but like, just don't bug me about it. The reason why I'm not responding to it is because you're asking like a massive question with a lot of problems attached to it.
Which is, of course,
just for the record, guys. So Destiny's chat right now is asking for me to come in, and I mentioned that no, he's too much of a coward to bring me in, and the mods just timed me out for that, so I can't speak there anymore.
I would encourage others to put
So.
Imagine having such serious main character syndrome that in the middle of a one-on-one debate that you're listening to, you're like, I asked to come on, and then I made fun of Destiny in the chat to say that he's too Weasley to bring me on, and the mods deleted me. Yeah, because you're fucking annoying. I wouldn't blame my mods if they deleted you.
You're about 20 years from being Professor Umbridge, lady.
I personally probably wouldn't have deleted the comment, but any mod, especially the bear, will just be like, fucking, you're gone. Fuck you.
Whoa, what was that?
At a past faculty meeting where no
proof of them being on site. Like, what the fuck?
What did she say? What did she say just there? She just muted.
Where he's saying he would be, like, quote, quite willing to organize an event with, quote, a public presentation discussion of race through a scientific / evolutionary lens. And especially given the poor record that evolutionary biology already has of treating contingent social phenomena as like genetically selected for, regardless of whether studies even replicate that assumption.
That's more evil psych. Evil psych has a much worse history.
Jesus Christ.
Evil biology doesn't have a bad history with this stuff, nearly to the extent that evil psych does. So that's not really true.
In the context of discussion, how people should be treated on campus, the role of different people, racism on campus.
That is such a cute emote, Egghead. Thank you for the $2.99.
Etc. You don't think that the statement without context is already provocative, to say the least, if that's what he's writing as an alternative to this?
You're getting the statement without context. I can read the full email for you, and you can tell me if anything in here sounds like objectionable. Dear Rashida, yeah. When you first described the new structure for day of absence / day of presence at a past faculty meeting where no room was left for questions, I thought I must have misunderstood what you said. Later emails seemed to muddy the waters further while inviting commitments to participate. I now see from the bold-faced text in this email that I indeed understood your words correctly. There's a huge difference between a group or coalition deciding to voluntarily absent themselves from a shared space in order to highlight their vital and underappreciated roles, the theme of the Douglas Turner wordplay Day of Absence, as well as the recent Women's Day walkout, and a group or coalition encouraging another group to go away. The first is a forceful call to consciousness, which is, of course,
just for the record, guys. So Destiny's chat right now is asking for me to come in, and I mentioned that no, he's too much of a coward to bring me in, and the mods just timed me out for that, so I can't speak anymore. Here we go. I want to see what the word muted.
Imagine having such serious.
Okay. You can't act. Just don't bother trying to laugh. It's painful to watch.
Come on, and then I made fun of Destiny in chat to.
No, I didn't ask to come on. They asked me to come on. It's different. I didn't ask to come on.
To say that he's too Weasley to bring me on, and the mods deleted me. Yeah, because you're fucking annoying. I wouldn't blame my mods if they deleted you. I personally probably wouldn't have deleted the comment, but any mod, especially the bear, will just be like, fucking, you're gone. Fuck you, you annoying fuck.
Oh, this is a thumbnail. This is a thumbnail face. That kind of captures her essence a little bit, actually. I kind of like this one. Yeah, that's thumbnail material. She's a weird individual because, like, aesthetically and in terms of like the sound of her voice, you'd think she'd have charisma. But somehow she's well, she's kind of like an evil me, isn't she?
President Sunday looks like a crazy stalker clawing.
Are we back? Did we lose the connection? Hang on, give it a moment. It's not my internet. It's YouTube. My internet is fantastic. Alright, looks like we're back. Where did we leave off? I think it was just buffering. So I think we're good. I think we didn't miss anything. Let's keep going.
At Destiny's window begging to be let in.
Thank you for the $10, Skeptical Ninja. It's just such main character syndrome. Like he's just like, he's too afraid still to debate me. It's like, bro.
He is though. He agreed to debate. We went over like 15 hours of research. He started going through like the beginnings of it. And was like, oh shoot, this is actually going to take work. Laying bare, by the way, that when he said the overwhelming number of professors that have been fired from universities, the fact that he's starting the research then, he said that was a lie. He had no clue how many professors had been fired from universities. As a matter of fact, that entire list I've said this so many fucking times, I'm getting tired of it. That entire list that his community put together of professors that had been squeezed out of universities by not towing the progressive line. Exactly 3 were removed from their jobs. 1 was fired because of a sex scandal with a grad student they were harassing. 1 was that guy who lost that e-teaching position, that business teacher or whatever, because of a transition where they sounded like the N-word and the administrators just kind of freaked out when some idiot student reported them. And the last one was Stephen Shu, who wasn't removed from a tenured position or from a teaching position even. He was just asked to step down from an administrative position in which his job is to disperse and to distribute funds for research, because he was speaking outside of his expertise as a physicist to make comments about the racial potential of blacks in America to Stefan Molyneux. And like, okay. I mean, that wasn't an educating position. He was asked to not be the person who's responsible for deciding which of the biologists and the evolutionary scientists, the people whose disciplines he was speaking over, what they were concerned with. He was asked to not be in charge of choosing which of them get funding when he clearly has extraordinary biases against, non-scientific biases against people in those fields.
No, you're just uninteresting.
Yeah, that's the kind of slime ball we're dealing with.
On a college campus, one's right to
It's just so slimy that the moderators decided to delete my comment.
speak or to be must never be based on skin color. If there was interest in a public presentation and discussion of race through a scientific/evolutionary lens, I would be quite willing to organize such an event. It is material that I have taught in my own programs and guest lectured on at Evergreen and elsewhere. Everyone would be equally welcome and encouraged to of ethnicity, belief structure, native language, political.
It's painful watching her try to say something clever. It really is. You don't have to. Nobody watches you for your intelligence, erudite. It's okay. You can just chill.
Leanings or position.
You don't need to act.
The only requirement would be that people
Take it easy.
Mind and a willingness to act in good faith. If there's interest in an event, please let me know at brett.weinstein@gmail.com. I don't see anything wrong with this email. He acknowledges why the first event existed. He states clearly why.
Yeah, in what world? Isn't he a feminist? Why don't you just let Erin have her debate? Why the fuck do you need to join the debate?
I don't need to join the debate. What are you talking about? Why does the fact that Erin's a woman mean that... What? Oh, that's another thumbnail image. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh. Oh, dear.
As opposed to the second one, he offers to organize like lectures around the topic if they want. He doesn't say he's going to, and he just says he's going to be on the college campus himself and encourages other people to do so. This is like the most diplomatically written email ever. How could there possibly be massive opposition to this?
Because the exploration of race from an evolutionary biological perspective, like what is the concrete term for that?
There's plenty of ways to discuss in-group, out-group preferences through scientific and evolutionary lenses. It's pretty important to our understanding of how humans like form bonds. So for instance, from evolutionary psychology, we learn things like people are less racist towards people that they are reared around, child rearing, right? That if you grow up with people of a certain race and your eyesight off,
it's not evolutionary, stupid
That's
idiot.
a belief that comes from things like evolutionary psychology or psychology as a field in general.
No,
So
it's
that's
not
like
from
one
evolutionary
scientific way
psychology.
to view structures of race.
I'm sorry, what?
Important to our understanding of how humans
What?
like form bonds. So for instance, from evolutionary psychology, we learn things like people are less racist towards people that
Jesus.
are reared around, child rearing, right? That if you grow up with people of a certain race and your, eyesight off,
That's not evolutionary, you stupid
That's a
idiot.
belief that comes from things like evolutionary psychology, or psychology as a field in general.
No,
So
it's
that's
not
like
from
one
evolutionary
scientific way
psychology.
to view structures of race that isn't like oppressive.
This guy's so
Or if
stupid.
you've ever listened to
He's
there's a guy
so
called Robert
stupid.
Sapolsky.
He's so stupid. I don't know if you guys are aware of who President Sunday is, but he is the most
You gonna elaborate, or are you just gonna call me stupid? See, when I call somebody stupid, I typically say why.
shameless little clout goblin
There
I
we
think
go.
I've ever seen on the platform. And he'll also virtue signal that popularity and exposure doesn't mean anything to him. But like, look at his Twitter. Let's look at his Twitter. Let's see the last people and his tweet tails. Tweet tails. Oh, I gotta sign in with Twitter again. Okay. Just look at this. It's so funny. Okay, I always forget how to spell his. Let's see who his recent tweet obsessors are. He'll just obsess. He'll just find a person and obsess, and it's always Pico. It's almost always people with bigger. Look at his face.
Let's look at this. I actually kind of enjoy this. Oh, that's funny. I have no idea what this thing is, but just Destiny dumb. And honestly, how true. How true. Our machine gods speak wise words. Oh, Rem apparent. Oh yeah, I had that big spat with Rem a little while ago. Bosh, what else have we got here? Issue's a big one. Putin degree video. Vaccine. Haas. Surprised Haas is so low there. Yep.
Favorite word is destiny.
Well, hang on. Slow down. My favorite word on Twitter is destiny. My favorite word in real life is Azure.
What in the this little clout goblin who then tries to God. Holy shit.
Madam, your entire career hinges on you speaking softly on Destiny's stream, pretending to have relationship advice for randos, co-hosting with fucking Destiny. Like, I'm sorry. You've made nothing yourself. Like, there's nothing... You have nothing to your name. You don't even have a credential to your name. That's why you can't even remember what the name of your degree is in. It's like, what are you? A psychometrician? A psychometrist? Really? Does it say that on your paper? No. The Concordia University thing, by the way, I called it. She has, like a general... Basically what amounts to, like, a basic assistant's diploma, which allows her to work in the clinic. And apparently she made, like, a questionnaire at one point in her life for, like childhood addiction or something. Which, you know, assuming it doesn't suck, and I have no reason to think it doesn't, judging from what I know about her. Cool. But, like, it's sort of like, if I co-authored a paper with a professor in like, my undergrad as, like, an honors thing, I would not thereby say, I am a credentialed political economist. No, I've got an undergraduate degree in political economy. I've got about as much credential to say I'm a political economist as somebody who's taken 2 courses in political economy as electives when they're majoring in lit studies or something. I call myself a political scientist because that is a title that comes with absolutely no prestige whatsoever, and in addition is just basically what I do. It's political science.
A lot on Vosh. He hates Vosh too.
I don't hate
Dumb.
Vosh.
It is one of his favorite words.
I like Vosh. Vosh has soul. Vosh can be a dumb jackass sometimes, but Vosh has character. Vosh actually has like a warmth and friendliness about him. And he can also get genuinely mad, but like genuinely mad. See, Destiny gets kind of like bug-like angry. People annoy him because they're inconvenient and they don't play well with him. And then he just despises them. Like it's frothing at the mouth hatred. I don't get that with Vosh. Vosh has disagreements with people and he loses his temper. And I respect that. There's a bloodlessness to Destiny's rage. Not with Vosh.
Let's see. What are some of his recent tweets?
I'm gonna check out for a second, guys.
When did you start tweeting about Destiny so frequently? When he pussied out of the debate he agreed to have after a ton of man hours by both of our communities went into the legwork to supply his research. Come on.
Come on. Imagine holding someone to their word when you make a deal, and you put in 15 hours of on-stream research alone, not to mention all of the time spent accruing sources by other people and by your community. Imagine holding someone to their word when they just ghost. They don't even give an explanation. They don't even try to bullshit their way out of it. They just go quiet in the hopes that it'll disappear. While they peddle the lies of somebody that were the thing under scrutiny in order to gain internet clout with somebody else. What an absolutely just empty goblin this woman is. Like seriously, just like there's nothing there. She can almost barely speak. It's really remarkable.
Christ, is Wicked Supreme the most abysmally worthless individual? Like, he is the worst, and then we'll try to... Just a hateful little clout goblin. That's all you are.
Yeah.
You're just mad because no girl...
Hang on, I want to see this on Twitch. I want to see if there's an uncensored version. I mean, you gotta give her credit where it's due. She's Oh, it's not on Twitch, of course. It's got Destiny on it. Can't be on Twitch. Oh well. The name doesn't falsely advertise. It's funny how that pans out. It's like Chud logic. Ends up actually being pretty accurate to what he does. Not so erudite. Me am actually legitimately president on Sundays. No bootleg goods on display here. I don't know if she censored herself because, like, it's just so much blocked out. Like, if you censor yourself, typically you censor, like, something specific? I don't know.
For race realism and stuff, he's given it. I think he specializes in. He gives at least some courses on evolutionary biology. I think he does neuroscience, but he does like all of his courses spoke about like race and in-group, out-group, and tribal stuff and all of that through evolutionary lenses.
There we go. I'm not self-censoring. I'm sorry. I was just making fun of him for being a little clout goblin. And he's just a big loser, and that he's probably just mad because girls wouldn't want to dance with him.
I hate dancing.
And Wicked's probably right. He's unironically one of those guys that might just be improved if you, like, had sex with a woman. Hi.
Just,
Honestly, it only complicates things.
It's back.
I think try to secure it. I think it's cutting off.
This, the plug itself, I think the cord is bad. We gotta buy a new one.
Do you want to tape it further up in or something?
Oh, not right now.
Okay.
Could you
Don't touch her head. She was picking skin out of her ear and eating it a second ago. Gross.
grab me water by any chance? No, here. I got a copy. Yeah. Anyways, okay, back we go.
Therefore, like it's.
I'm not not self-censoring. I'm sorry.
You're forgiven.
Madam, check the mic. Take 2, please. Did it cut out again?
Well, she's talking about her mic dying right now, so I have every inclination to believe her. I suppose I need to actually connect with Chaeiry. I'm getting a little bit absorbed in this. There we go. I sent a friend request. Coolio.
The rant was just making fun of President Sunday. It's over. I feel like the moment's lost. I was just saying that he's just like unironically the only guy I think I've ever met where I'm like, probably if you just like slept with a woman, you would vastly improve as a human being, because holy shit, is he unbearable. And if he was able to sleep with a woman, it would prove that he's like self-grown enough to be interesting enough that a woman would want to sleep with him, basically.
Yeah, men are the dark souls of sex.
Evil, black people are evil or whatever. Usually just making people aware of like why they have different types of beliefs and opinions about other people. It's not like they were going to go study phrenology.
But I feel like the argument that you just made is like exactly what you said. You're like, he's being extremely diplomatic.
Will President Sunday ever fight Queen of Canada Romana Didulo? What? Didulo? What is that? $10. Well, thank you for the $10, D-Trick. Do you want to elaborate on what the hell that means?
Like in the language that he's using. So if like the example that I pulled I used in the debate was like an offer to discuss phrenology in opposition to the event that Rashida Love's I guess like campus club or whatever was holding. He's, instead of saying like phrenology, he says like, basically like the definition of phrenology, like the exploration of cranial skull shapes and
Wait, hold on.
modules and like, how they develop.
Nothing about what he says has anything to do with phrenology.
No, I never said that it has to do with phrenology. I'm just drawing like a
yeah, but the problem is when you say phrenology, it's like that's like bunk bullshit science. Are you saying that like race through a scientific or evolutionary lens is bunker bullshit science?
Yes.
I'm sorry, can you what?
Yes,
I don't
it is.
understand the comparison.
It is. It is. That's the point. It is. By implying that there is a simple and acceptable natural, I guess, attitude within the sciences to race, that it sort of accepts it as like a kind of like a baseline assumption, as a thing that is first and foremost to be studied from an evolutionary lens. By implication, race goes back deep into our evolutionary past and is not a cultural invention that is invalid. That's precisely the point. It's taking a quite literally ideologically racist lens. Racist not even in the pejorative sense, by just literally saying that it's staking one's stance out as being ideologically oriented around the concept of race. You are methodologically assuming the concept of race in your science, which is an unscientific and culturally contingent attitude that Brett Weinstein should have peeled away from his thinking by now. He even later characterized Charles Murray as like this courageous figure in an interview. Like this guy is a duplicitous snake. I'm sorry.
Of phrenology, like phrenology is like literally, my understanding is like science invented to oppress people.
It was, but so was race, Destiny. That's the point. I don't know why I'm responding to Destiny. We're watching Erudite pick skin out of her ear and eat it.
There was ever like good like arguments in favor of phrenology, maybe in its infancy. But are you comparing like the courses that he's offering?
The evolutionary discourse of race was absolutely used to oppress people. This man's a fucking moron.
Well,
okay, but that doesn't mean that all of evolutionary biology is bunk science like phrenology.
Nobody said all of evolutionary science is bunk science like phrenology. However, situating race as a methodological assumption of biological science, which is the implication of what Brett is saying there, is equivalent to doing phrenology. It's equivalent to saying like skull shape is related to intellectual capacity or something. Like that's what it is. It's onboarding an unscientific assumption in your methodology that results in valorizing racist attitudes.
Is like phrenology was almost exclusively, so just because evolutionary
basically exclusively. I guess it was also used to like determine who would be criminals or whatever.
Biology has been weaponized doesn't mean that the science itself was developed to oppress people, which phrenology, in Destiny's argument, he's saying phrenology almost exclusively was developed for that. I'm going to be honest, I'm pretty sure Destiny's wrong. there was some modicum of like evidence about skull shape because there's an
So she's right about that. The problem is she has absolutely no like word or sentence comprehension, because that wasn't the point that was being made. So she's just, I don't know, she's just dumb. I almost feel bad. She's just dim.
element that's true of like certain parts of the brain do correspond to like sizes of the skull, but that's about it. Like, and because phrenology started in comparative, I believe they were comparing like dog skulls to like human skulls, and that's like the only form of phrenology that has any like if you have a bigger skull, you have a bigger brain per body size. That's somewhat true for like which species are more intelligent, but that's
I
based.
don't know if Stephen Jay Gould's account is super accurate. I've heard people complain about it. But he has a chapter on phrenology. I wonder. It's been a half minute since I've read this. Craniology. Personal stories. And it takes them just fucking forever to get to the point.
Basically where phrenology ends. Like there's no merit to phrenology whatsoever. Whereas like evolution and
Who
biology
is more dim, her, Destiny, or Wicked Supreme? Oh, Wicked Supreme, easily. She's smarter than Wicked Supreme. There's no way around it.
has been weaponized. It was like
Picking
just
your
used to
ear.
just support racist claims.
Juxtaposition of evolutionary and science means I guess like the
Stop
phrenology example
doing
I was
that.
is
That's
like,
so
okay, so
gross.
let's say that I'm a statistician or perhaps criminologist. And in my disagreement to a campus exercise during Black History Month, I say that I would be happy to talk about crime statistics related to Black Americans in response to somebody doing this event during
He just said biological underpinnings of race.
Erudite. If race is an unscientific concept that has been used to oppress people, which it is, and if you disagree with me, you're wrong, then to imply that there are biological underpinnings of race and that these are things meriting discussion in as an alternative to an event where the concern is historic racism and contemporary racism in society and in terms of like life outcomes of different people. The direct implication is that you are offering this as an alternative explanation to the history for these disparate outcomes. You're effectively saying, look guys, like, yeah, our country's done a lot of wrong, but at the end of the day, you gotta square the fact that, you know, blacks just can't achieve as much on average. It's just how it be. That's the implication. And that attitude is rife among STEM people who rub shoulders with people who talk about this stuff, but aren't actually experts in this stuff. So again, like Stephen Shu types, very common. And to make statements like that is extraordinarily irresponsible, and it was a massive insult, frankly. That was an extraordinarily insulting and inappropriate thing for a professor to say to an organizer. And on top of that, he lied about the nature of the event. This is something that Aaron didn't pick up on in the conversation with Destiny, and again, this is one of the reasons why planning is so important. It wasn't just that they were asking white participants to go off campus and for non-white participants to stay on campus, and that you were identified with one or the other based upon self-identification criteria, which is crucial because the entire point of that is that there are white-presenting people who would probably be more appropriate for the on-campus one as opposed to the off-campus one, because they come from families that experience systemic oppression, even if they present externally as white. Because systemic oppression is not, it's systemic racism doesn't just manifest as people are suspicious of you for, people suspect you of shoplifting when you go into a grocery store. It also has to do with things like the environment you grow up in, what kinds of resources are available to you, what kinds of familial trauma take place, whether or not you have any sort of cultural representation. It's like a whole bunch of different things. The economics of where you happen to live, like it's a really, really complicated topic, and it's not as simple as just whether or not you get bullied by bigots on a day-to-day basis in like sort of overt ways. But moreover, the nature of these programs was that they were limited in size. These were workshops that took place in specific rooms. And at no point was anybody told you cannot be on campus. At no point was anybody told you cannot even be in the rooms where the events are being held. They were told that if you are participating, if you identify with this group, you are asked to attend this event in this building. And if you choose to participate on campus, because you identify with that group, you are asked to go to these buildings. And everybody else is fine staying on campus. That's why there's no that's why there was no issue with, for example, school staff or janitors or whatnot being on campus during this event. There was no attempt to actually get white people to leave the place. The switcheroo took place because of the context of the election of Trump and fears about sending all the black students to an isolated building, I guess, off campus somewhere. Among other things, like once after Brett Weinstein lit the school on fire, figuratively, by mischaracterizing the protests as having to do with him and being in some way connected to the Day of Absence, Day of Presence event, there was a bomb threat made at the school. Not by black activists, by the way. So, where was I going with this? Erudite, stop picking your ear. It's nasty.
Which there are some. For example, darker skin evolved in places with high UV radiation, like across like fuck, what's the band? The main point of radius. Holy shit, I'm so stupid right now. What is this? The line that goes around
the equator? Are you talking?
Fuck. This is so embarrassing. I know what it is. It's literally, I keep having it and then it goes away. I'm not even gonna look at chat. The
equator?
Oh my god. Fuck. How can I not remember this?
I don't know.
It starts with an E. It's equator. It's the fucking equator. Holy shit. I'm so sorry. I'm not stupid. I promise. I promise. Well, that's not true. I can't promise that.
Too easy. Let's keep going.
Like the fact that I'm already posing my talk in the context like of an opposition to an event that's highlighting the unrecognized contributions of Black Americans, like during Black History Month. Like even
he just screamed it from the basement. Equator as well. I'm thinking, oh god.
No, I am saying just very neutrally. I'm talking.
Okay, so here's the problem with this. Okay. Evolution takes a very long time. The human race, as I understand it, and it's been a hot minute since I read about this, but we spread across the continents over on an evolutionary scale an extraordinarily short period of time, really recently. Like, tens of thousands of years ago kind of thing. You do not have, amongst a technological species, which by that point we were, which is why we were able to travel, because we could cook food, make clothes, yada yada yada. You do not have a process of natural selection amongst a technological species that is migrating to different locations willingly over the span of a few tens of thousands of years. And white skin came later. And that wasn't a fucking evolutionary adaptation.
Thank you,
about
JJ.
black crime statistics. Like, what do you think that might imply?
Well, when you say black crime statistics, that's like a pretty pointed thing. But if somebody were to say, like,
Was the immigration happened around 50K years ago? Okay, there you go.
I
Are
can do
crime statistics related to black
Let's not say
Americans?
crimes. Let's say that you're a criminology professor. I'm sure they probably have more specialized disciplines. But you want to say, like, if you want, on that day, I can give a lecture on, like, the intersectional effects of society on black people and crime or something like that. Or I can talk about, like, the criminal justice system and a black person's experience with it. Or I can talk about policing and the criminal justice system in black America. Like, I think that would be more comparable.
It wouldn't be comparable at all. He still just said the underpinnings of race. He didn't say anything about black people at all. The comparison would be a criminologist saying, in lieu of this, I'd be interested in giving lectures on the understanding of crime statistics and racial.
Yes, yes, that would be the equivalent. But that's not better, erudite. Oh my god. She's so dumb.
Racial groups and crime statistics. That would be the closest comparison. For her to assume in the worst face that he's
Yeah. If a criminologist came out and said, "Hey, I don't appreciate your event. How about instead I give a public lecture on race and crime statistics?" Well, let's see if Chaeiry's ready to go. I don't know if I can do this much longer. This is insanity. This is the person whose favorite insult is Dunning-Kruger. Oh my... It's like... This reminds me of when I was talking to Wicked Supreme, and I was trying to, like, be nice. Sort of. I started off ripping into him a little bit, and then I changed it. And then I changed it back again. But, like, I was like, yeah, I think he'd make a really good Iago. You know, from Othello. The villain from Othello, this famous Shakespeare play. Because he said he was in theater. We were kind of, like, shooting the shit, sort of, or I was attempting to. And I was like, hey, what do you study? Oh, cool, you're in theater. I think you'd make a really good Iago in, like a stage type thing. It's like, oh, like the parrot? Be nice? I'm not nice. I'm kind. I have a very kind disposition. I'm not nice. I don't trust nice people. Alright. I'm sorry, Ron. I'm sorry, Ron. Our short relationship is at an end. I won't have any of that in my chat.
trying to argue for race realism is insane. And in her, like, even in her argument, she's like, it's so ridiculous that you would possibly claim that he wasn't doing it for like benign reasons, that they were actually trying to force white people. It's so insane that you would assume that they were actually trying to like socially pressure people. It's insane for you to assume that Brett Weinstein was going to lecture on fucking race realism. Do you have any evidence for that? Does he yet talk about
basic sentence and context comprehension? The nature of the program was to talk about systemic racism and allyship. He offers as an alternative to the event, let me talk about race through the lens of science/evolution. By implication, saying that race, that's a specifically evolutionary concept. That is a concept that we talk about in terms of evolution. And he himself has like this weird kooky theory about how culture is downstream from a racial inheritance. We don't need to get into that. The point is, the obvious implication to anybody with half a fucking brain, that is that he is making a really backhanded commentary on the motivations for the day of absence program. That is, he's not just making an extraordinarily comically uncharitable interpretation of the nature of the event. He's also snidely implying that the motivations are hogwash because actually the problems that the woes that beset the black man in America are built into his genes. They just can't compete.
About race, like hasn't he become kind of weird and he still doesn't talk about race realism?
Like
Different
discussion of
why,
race
Rob?
through a
The
scientific
specific
/ evolutionary
language,
lens
because I
doesn't.
feel like it's exactly what Brett did.
No.
Is
but
she
if he
drinking
was
out of a
just saying
fishbowl?
if there was
What is
interest in
that?
Public presentation and discussion of racial differences in IQ through a scientific evolutionary lens, I'd be quite willing to like. I can understand that a little more. It's like, okay, well, that's kind of weird. Like, but
Yeah,
but,
IQ would be weird.
yeah, but he's not doing that. It's just like nothing that's stated here on its face is wrong. Maybe implication if he was like a Nazi, maybe. But I mean, like this is like a professor at the school for how many years, and he's already taught the material before. Apparently, he's even given classes on.
I'm just gonna check Twitter quickly and see if. No, looks like we're still waiting on Chaeiry. All right.
Yeah, he stated as much. He said like this is material that I've covered or whatever. But and maybe
I'm sorry, at Evergreen, are you really gonna try to argue that Evergreen was just kosher with this guy teaching race realism in his like Evo biology lectures?
Yes, as a matter of fact, that is exactly what I would assert. The reason for the protests, in fact, and once again, Erin kind of dropped the ball here a little bit. Not her fault. She was asked to come in late. Well, not late, but very quickly, and she accepted, which was a mistake. But she did her best. She did a good job, I think, all things considered. She made a mistake, and she accepted Destiny's framing of the protests as being against Brett Weinstein. That is not true. Brett Weinstein sent his email in March. The protests were in May. The reason is that between these two time periods, a white student and a black student got into a shouting match in the lunchroom. The black student had made a Facebook post requesting volunteers to join a class to bring up black representation in the class. And to parody it, the white student made a similar post, but directed at white students. Black activist student was upset about this, and as he encountered him in the lunchroom, yelled at him. They went their separate ways. White student, little bitch that he is, reported him to staff. Staff came in the middle of the night to escort the black activist student and somebody else, I think they may have been with him at the time, to be interrogated by the police. So, in protest, a few students, a bunch of students in fact, did a march through the halls of the building. Brett Weinstein left his classroom to engage with the students, and school staff sent security his way. And he sent them off because he was having just a jolly old time arguing with the students. And the only reason why on the list of the students' demands, that was stricken from it, by the way, on the list of their demands included Brett Weinstein's firing, which the university insisted was not on the table. The dean and the president both, this has been recorded, have said that that his job was secure. It was not going anywhere. He was safe. The only reason why that was there is because very, very recently he had done a grossly offensive thing to an untenured staff member at the university by making that massively racist implicature in a gross mischaracterization of an annual program. He had no problem, by the way, with the black students leaving campus. Yeah, that's basically it. He made a gross racist implicature to a staff member without tenure, and then grossly misrepresented the program to people on the outside. And that caused a massive amount of harassment against the student activists. Okay, we back? We good? All right. Oh, God damn it. That was actually my adapter burning up that time. When did I cut off? What was I saying? Doesn't matter. I've retreated this a million times. We'll just continue.
There's no fucking shot.
Well, tell me what you think of like this interpretation of like the email correspondence, because for all the beautiful, the things that our beautiful boy Brett is, I don't think he's stupid, at least not at this point. He wasn't shilling for ivermectin just yet. To me, I think it's a perfectly reasonable assumption that he's aware of the history and controversy surrounding like investigations into like race from an evolutionary biological perspective. And I strongly suspected that refusing to clarify that understanding was intended as kind of like a bait and switch for the purpose of like validating his authority, because he does say, come and listen to my talk, you might be pleasantly surprised, please keep an open mind. To me, like phrasing it as he did in the context of the opposition that he faced, he, to me, also implies a degree of support for racist pseudoscience that he doesn't hold, that he claims to not hold, but he was nevertheless willing to be understood to hold.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
No, just no, absolutely not. That is like the most, because that is the most unimaginable, uncharitable reading of a professor that's taught here for 15 years. Like, if I were to ask you for any kind of proof of this, you wouldn't be able to supply it at all. And he doesn't even say he's going to do the lecture. He just offers to, and even ends.
It's in opposition to an event concerned with
it doesn't have to be. No, it doesn't have to be in opposition to it. It can be in accordance with it. That like, that I want to do a discussion of race through the Center of Evolution lens. I see you guys are like having this like day of absence, and it sounds like he supported previously the day of absence. I mean, he was here for 15 years. He didn't seem like anything about it before. So it seems like the switch.
Yeah, he's a fucking idiot. No, it was explicitly as an alternative to the event. Explicitly. It's just making stuff up.
Like asking white people to leave was very specifically the onus that pushed him to saying he disagreed with this.
The email absolutely was in opposition. What do you mean?
No, I'm saying that it wasn't like he was going to teach his class. There's no evidence that like the lecture that he was offering was going to be like in opposition to like people talking about white supremacy or something.
I know, like 2 seconds earlier, you're like, yeah, he supports it when the black students go off campus, but not the white students, because he didn't take umbrage with the
for a wholly different reason. The whole what? Are you kidding me? The day of absence, where you walk out, is a totally legitimate movement that started long before Brett Weinstein, and him supporting it isn't proof that he's a fucking racist. If anything, it's probably proof that he's a progressive.
Because he's upset when the black students have an event off campus, but because he's not upset when the black students have an event off campus, but he's suddenly upset when the program for the white students is off campus. That makes him a progressive.
Because usually conservatives have a problem with these types of movement. The whole point of the walkout thing is to show you that basically you underappreciate how important the diversity and the people who are diverse in your community are to the workings of your university or your business, wherever the walkout is happening at. What the fuck? How are you trying to equate these things?
Years prior.
I
don't think this was the first year that they hosted it. You just said he'd been there for 15 years.
Can you explain the difference between the two? Because it's explained in the email, and I can explain it if you need me to. But those two things.
This person's entire job is just to watch Destiny and repeat Destiny, and then to just kind of awkwardly try to insert herself into the middle-aged high school relationship drama of the people orbiting Destiny. And then awkwardly shuffle back into the shadows when it's laid bare every now and then that she has absolutely no idea what the fuck she's doing.
They're very different.
In what way?
Oh, okay. Apparently, what the fuck is going on here?
Say there is a huge difference between a group or coalition deciding to voluntarily absent themselves from a shared space.
Okay, she's just putting on a hoodie. I don't care. I guess I'm talking to Chaeiry now. I'm so thrown off by that. That was just... thank you, Polly people. Yeah, no problem. You did well, I think. Do I have to put her on camera on my end? Or can I can probably just go on camera on her end. We don't need to see Chaeiry, do we? I don't want to have to figure out the technology of this. Oh, this is not sitting on my stomach well. We don't talk about sugar anymore. I'll give you bread as a conservative, but do you honestly believe American university is neutral? Can you elaborate? What do you mean American university is neutral? All right, here we go. Hold on to your butts, people. All right. Oh, okay. Oh, camera's not on. There we are. Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can. Let me just double check what the audio levels are on my end. You seem to be a little bit quiet in my microphone. Can you, in my headphones, can you try again?
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're still a tad quiet though. Chat, can you hear Chaeiry speaking?
Also, I need just a little bit of time to set up.
No, take your time. It's all good. I'm just
Okay.
trying to make sure that, like, I'm not just talking to the void.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay. Well, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. The start of fuck, hold on. I'm prescribed Adderall, and I feel like I've been doing so much better when I'm on it, and I believe I feel it kicking in, and once it kicks in, I just always feel so happy.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, so I'm like literally feeling very good, very chill right now. So let me pop you out. Yeah, yay, drugs.
Skull.
How are you doing? How are you feeling?
Oh, like I could pass out at any moment. I am so tired.
Oh no.
I'm back on my sleep schedule finally after weeks, but the result of the melatonin is the day after I get like I feel like it's 4 a.m. at 12. So
Oh really?
yeah, it just hits me really hard.
Uh,
Apparently that's unusual, but I have just really sensitive to it for some reason. Probably just like the years of sleep that I've accrued.
Now, have you read all of the books behind you?
Read bits of all of them.
Bits of all of them?
Bits of all of them. As for all of most of them, like this, it's like from front to cover. No, God no, that's like years and years
Okay.
and years.
I do this thing where I like to buy books that I want to read,
Yeah.
and maybe I'll buy like 10 books. I'll read one of them, and then the rest of them I'll just wait till I'm retired.
I think the hardest thing for me is because you're like, yeah, I'm gonna read all this stuff, I'm gonna know everything. So you just start everything from page one, and then you do the same thing with the next thing. And I think like it's been a weird, almost like reverse discipline thing for me. It's been teaching myself to be okay with just like, okay, you're using this book as a tool to understand this thing. So as much as you'd like to be like the super Hegel expert of the world, you only live for 80 years at the upper end of things, and things sort of start to slow down around 20 years before that. So you don't really have time. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's too bloody much to read.
Okay. Do you need my camera?
No, it's all good.
Okay, good. Okay, I already asked how you're doing. Shit. This is the first time we're talking off of the Stardust panel.
Yeah, and we had what's his face there? Who's that guy? The one on the upper left. Sort of.
Loner Box?
No. There was a
No.
fascist guy there,
A fascist?
or like some kind of right winger dude. I can't remember. You and him were not friendly.
Oh no, actually I am friendly. American Nacho. This this is just like fuck. This is my MO. When I'm on a panel or when I'm debating or disagreeing, I don't hold back. I'm And I think that people who want me to hold back, I don't know. I don't like that. So I let exactly how I feel come out when we're talking about something, which is like politics. I think we were talking about the prison system. And yeah, I could understand thinking that I don't like him because I told him he was a trash human
Yeah,
because he thought that it was good for people to get raped in prison.
and I don't disagree
And
with you. It's just I have difficulty reconciling in my head the idea that you both like this person and have rapport, and legitimately think he's a trash human. I don't know. I'm not saying you can. I just don't know how I would square that circle.
yeah. Okay, so I square that circle because I think um and I'm doing this probably because I'm on stream, but most of the time I don't care enough to do it in the moment when I'm on a panel.
Mhm.
But I understand why people come to that sort of naive sort of self like feels good. I think this person was a murderer, so hopefully they get raped in prison. Like I understand where that's coming from. And I think if you were made to like if you're in this space, you put some value in being logical and in understanding what's probably good, what's probably fair justice. And I think if you were to slowly talk through it, you would not even agree with what the fuck you just said. But we're on a panel, and I think as much as he is inflammatory for saying something as stupid as that, I'm matching the inflammatory by calling him a trash human, and I feel like I've done what I needed to do to balance that that sort of like toxic thing that he said. Does that make sense?
Yeah, fair enough. Oh, you asked me to chat with you last night. Did you have something on your mind, or?
Yeah. What's going on? Um, I normally before I talk to people, I like
Mhm.
to like look at their content. And I have not done that with you because I'm doing my best to not instantly hate people who absolutely and almost obsessively hate Destiny. Because I want to be able to be somebody
I
who can
hate
like people.
I hate plenty of people.
No, no,
Destiny
no.
Destiny's just a fling.
No, that is not a fling. That is like your
I mean, look,
that's your Moby Dick.
no. That's like
Yeah.
that's like the squid. That's not the squid. That's like the whale that Stubb has a stake out of halfway through the book.
So
He's like the squeeze of the hand chapter where they're like squishing all of the whale sperm. That's what Destiny is.
no, but okay, so I don't think you're even fair in I guess retelling of how you feel about Steven because
All right,
okay, here. If I can just like lay this out.
go for it.
So what I think that American Nacho did in that stream
Mhm.
was like get really emotional in a situation where I think if he was more logical, he could understand and maybe prevent himself from saying some bad things. Uh and that's how I take you with Steven. I think you are a little emotional in responding to him, and that's why I think that like it's fair to disagree with Steven, especially if you are not a liberal. Like obviously you have to disagree with him. Um but you ruin it for yourself when all of the sudden in your disagreement with him, like you do shit like drag his wife. And all of a sudden, like not liking his politics
Whoa.
turns into not liking
Hang
him,
on, can I
turns
just
into, well, you're his wife, so clearly this and you deserve this at Twitch. Like
whoa, hang on,
you
just
can't have all of those.
hang on, Chair,
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
just one moment. Um,
Yeah.
I have a suspicion you might be conflating somebody else with me a little bit. I don't talk about Destiny's wife ever. I think
Hold on.
the only thing I've mentioned with
It
respect to
had to do with Keffels.
no. Hang on. The only thing
Okay.
the only thing I've mentioned with respect to Destiny's wife, has been I challenged during the manifesto review. I challenged Steve's sort of sanitizing of the nature of the Lauren Southern retweet that his wife made,
Yeah,
and
that's exactly what I'm talking about.
well, the retweet in question was her calling a tweet in which she told Keffels that she'll never be a real woman, calling that a banger that she had to delete. So I mean, I think
Okay, so
Keffels upset if that was fair, but I didn't go after Destiny's wife. The issue I had was with the sanitization by Destiny. Other than that, the only
so
time I think I've ever brought up Destiny's Wife in the context of a critique has been to say that I really dislike that given the nature of the orbiters around him, including people like Alibrel. I don't know if you're familiar with that whole episode.
I am. That was the
Yeah, yeah,
first
yeah.
lore I
So,
ever
so,
dived in.
yeah, yeah. So, given like that, those kinds of people in his audience, like for me, I am very assiduous about not letting any of my loved ones come into the line of fire for that, because that can be very damaging. So I'm sometimes like, why do we even like know about all these people, given the nature of the stuff he goes into? That seems to me very reckless. But I don't go after family members at all as a policy. I don't
Okay.
know what his personal life is like, so it's not my business.
Okay, so that's where I think we just like super disagree, because I feel like we are talking about a situation where you did directly go after her for a contribution that you felt was more of her participation than her lack of like understanding of a
No, no, no.
situation, and
I
just
didn't
no,
go
hold
after.
on, please just I will let you respond and disagree with me. I promise you can
All right,
disagree with me.
continue.
Um
But stick on this point
so
though, very just
yeah,
so we don't. Yeah, okay.
so
I will get lost.
So when it comes to that tweet, I feel like we're acknowledging the tweet, but then while we're acknowledging it, you're saying I would never do that. I would never go after. Um, and when it is someone who's personal in our life, I understand maybe for you it feels like, oh well, I'm just pointing out an inconsistency. The problem is, for the normal people in our life, this is going after them. And it does take some like stepping back and acknowledging, okay, I didn't make like a video on it. Maybe I didn't necessarily rant and rave and go on for like 3 days, but for a normal individual being highlighted in this way, okay, yeah, for a normal person I did go after them.
Okay, hang on. So
Okay.
in the context of the manifesto, Destiny brings up this thing, which was a point of contention between him and his wife and Keffels, and he defends what his wife retweeted by mischaracterizing what she did as more innocent. I wasn't going after his wife. I was contending with his portrayal of events, and then we moved on.
So
I don't. Yeah.
I also don't think that the time that we're pointing out,
Yeah.
the manifesto is even accurate, because when you invoked her and when you brought this up and dragged this out again, it was in response to TwitchCon of Keffels going up to Melina in person at
Yeah.
essentially a work environment, a work gathering, and continuing
I don't know
to
about
threaten
that.
her husband's
They
career.
aren't employed by Twitch, but
No, that is a work atmosphere. They are at a Twitch partner
yeah,
gathering.
are they
Only people who are partners at Twitch were able to
yeah,
attend
but
that. It was
but
specifically for them.
I could throw a party that only allows YouTube partners in. That doesn't
You are
matter.
not YouTube.
It
What you
doesn't
can
matter.
do,
It doesn't matter.
if you did
It
throw a
doesn't
party,
matter.
I would show up.
It's
I would show up
a
to your party, but it's
Chaeiry,
not analogous here.
it's a private event that was hosted by a private company that they just set arbitrary restrictions over entrance to. That's not a work event. I mean, maybe they used it for work, maybe they used it for networking, but that's neither here nor there.
It is.
All right, if you wanna run with that, that's fine. If I commented on that, I probably said something to the effect of like, I understand why she's mad about it because of that. That's like a pretty heinous thing that she retweeted, and the implications are pretty
Yeah,
bad.
so that's essentially what you were doing. You were trying
But that's not
like,
going
understand.
that's not going after Destiny's wife. That's criticizing Melina. by
You
implication.
were. So this is the problem that comes into play when we are invoking
Why can't I
when we
critique
are
Melina?
invoking the partners.
Why does Melina's relationship with Destiny mean that I can't criticize her for doing something that I think is patently bad?
I think it's no, if you want to do that, then fine. The only problem I'm having here is you saying I wouldn't do that after the Ella Brell situation. I would never do that. I understand how our private
I
lives
see.
are
Sorry,
private
hang
lives.
on. No,
So
you've misunderstood me a little bit. The Alibrel
okay.
situation was him going after Destiny's son as Destiny's son, saying he should have aborted his son because of his like relationship dynamic or whatever.
Yeah.
Melina is also a content creator. I'm not going after Melina as like, oh, you guys have like a sick relationship, da 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 da.
Okay, then that's just what I needed us to come to an agreement on. When I point out that you went after his wife, that you
I didn't go
just
after his
admit
wife.
and say that, okay, yes, okay, then I feel like we're coming to the point where you're explaining why you can go after his wife, but then you still don't want to say that you went after his wife. You
I-
can have a justification for it, but we do have to acknowledge the thing where she is being
What
like
is just okay?
targeted
Just for
by
my just for my clarity, when you say went after, what specifically do you mean by that?
I mean quote tweeting her and
Did I quote tweet her?
directing
I don't remember
yes.
ever quote tweeting Melina.
Um
I don't even think I follow Melina.
or maybe it's uplifting screenshotting her tweets or something like that.
I don't have her tweets. I don't screenshot her tweets.
Man, I didn't come here prepared with like any information, so I can just like iterate what I think happened. Um,
Oh, okay,
but it
but
was
here's why I'm sort of objecting to these a little bit though.
it might have been quote tweeting the video of Chud Logic talking about
I have
Melina
never
and
quote
Keppel's
tweeted Chud.
interaction.
I haven't quote tweeted
No, not
Chud
quote
Logic in
tweeted Chud
forever.
Logic himself. Quote tweeted somebody talking about it, like the clip of it. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes, but I have no recollection of doing so, and I don't see how they'd be going after her.
Okay, so here maybe going after is like a harsh way of putting it. That's just
That's
kind
kind of
how
why I'm objecting to it, because
Yeah, yeah.
it makes it sound like there's like a
Okay.
predatory thing going on here. I have
Okay,
no I have
ignore-
no interaction
Yeah.
with or about her aside from coverage of the
Okay,
the
ignore-
manifesto and maybe a commentary on like what were the dynamics going on behind the scenes when Keffels approached Melina at TwitchCon.
Okay, ignore the going after. I'll try to say it again without anything loading.
Okay,
Uh,
thank you.
after there was the instance at TwitchCon, Keffels made comment to Melina, like, tell your husband to not go after me anymore, or I will get him banned off. I think it was YouTube at that point. Like implying that she was going to keep going after him. And Melina's reaction was just her feeling like awkward, her feeling like she didn't know what to do. She was she like shook her hand because Keffels went up to her to shake her hand. So she's like she's trying to be polite, but then is still being met with this sort of like I don't know if it's negging you could call
How
it
do
from
you
Keffels. I don't know what it was.
can I
But
sh-
either way,
Can I interject with a
wait,
quick
just let me
question?
finish.
Quick little question. Quick
Okay.
tiny little one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I can understand how that would be very off-putting for Melina.
Yes.
But I put the ball into your court.
Uh-huh.
You have Melina retweeting a infamous white nationalist who has told her in front of hundreds of thousands of
Yeah, I'm
people,
gonna get
"You'll
to that.
never
I'm
be
gonna
a
get to
real
that.
woman." Don't you think
This
there's
is
some
exactly-
parody there?
This is exactly what I'm talking about. So
Okay.
we're like past manifesto. We're not just past manifesto. We're past the tweet interaction that happened with Keffels and Lauren Southern and Steven. We are at a point where Melina is explaining, well, people are telling a situation that happened with Melina that she's not even the one who's like signal boosting it or even speaking about it publicly. She's only privately told people that it was uncomfortable and then later talked about it on her stream because it was put out there by like Chud
Okay.
about the awkwardness. And we're taking this moment of who we're talking about is essentially like a private person. She's not a political person. And I think
Well, she's retweeting
and
a
we
white
keep-
nationalist who's calling
yeah.
her not a real woman.
Whoa.
So I mean, it's a little political.
Prezi, listen. If we are paying attention to the order of events,
Yes.
it has been stated over and over again. She's a normie. She didn't understand.
I think it's a wrong statement.
What-
She's a streamer who makes
She
political
is-
comments.
She is ESL. She doesn't make political comments. She's not a political streamer.
She
at all.
retweeted Lawrence Southern. That's a political move.
Lauren Southern was followed by her husband at the time,
And
her husband
Melina.
just
Melina
got,
retweeted it, not Destiny. If Destiny retweeted it, we'd be
yes,
talking about
exactly.
that.
Destiny was just banned off of Twitch, and he was, I think, unplugged from the internet after like what is essentially like a big hit to his career. So she is
Okay.
trying to be publicly supportive and looking at the people that she knows are his
But
friends.
to do so, she's choosing
But
to
listen-
retweet a white nationalist who Destiny himself has described as had gone into the ocean to drown refugees.
No one knows that Lauren Southern is a white nationalist. I don't fucking know that.
I can prove it to you, actually.
Okay, but I don't want like I'm trying to do my best not to load it, so I kind of she is a normal person, so I'm really asking you to like let me explain it from like a normal person's perspective, not our debate bro bullshit, okay? I feel like Steven has done like the best that he could do, and she has done the best that she can do to explain that she didn't mean anything transphobic. Um, but then it seems
And by
months
which,
later,
just to be clear, just for my clarification again,
yes.
so what we're running with then is that when Melina retweeted Lauren Southern, who her husband characterized on stream as went out to drown refugees with white nationalists, um,
Drown
we are running
refugees.
his, that's a direct quote by him.
You are being
I
so
can give it to you.
uncharitable,
No, no,
President
no,
Jose.
that's a quote by Destiny. I'm telling you, that's something he said. It's on record. I
Is
can
it
show
something
you.
he said for real, or was he
Yes, I can
negging
show you to
her
you.
or-
I can
and
show you
joking?
to. No, it wasn't
No,
even
no,
to
but
her.
the context
It
of
was
that
it was by himself. He was justifying his visiting somebody else and saying it wasn't
Yes,
as
but
bad
was
as being with
he
Lauren Southern.
making fun
One
of
moment.
her
No, he wasn't.
to tease her?
No, he wasn't. I'll show you actually. Just bear with me for 1 second.
Okay, well, while you pull that up, I would like
Yes.
to just reiterate. Melina since has understood how people took that message. She's tried explaining that that's not what she meant. This is her words. She was just supporting her husband. She doesn't support transphobia. Her and her husband don't support transphobia. And they have said that. And he has done his best to remove her from getting this type of like attention. But it seems like because Chad Logic takes the situation that happened at TwitchCon and puts that out there, and then she addresses it, like what you did was take that opportunity to rehash out something all over again and paint her as just oh, this is Destiny's wife, so obviously she thinks the way he does, and here she like quote tweeted some transphobic person while they made a transphobic like white nationalist while they made a transphobic insult. And it just, for me, I don't think you can be like, I don't go after their personal people. I don't go after his wife. For me, you chose to not care about her in that situation and to just rehash out old
Sorry,
shit
which
to
situation?
feel fine not caring.
Sorry, you lost me for a second. Which situation?
Okay. This is after TwitchCon.
After Twitch.
After the TwitchCon
have I talked
thing,
about her after TwitchCon?
hmm?
Did I talk about her after TwitchCon?
Yeah, that's the whole problem that I'm bringing up.
Where did I
I'm
talk
not
about
talking
her?
about when you talk. So when you talked about it when it happened, like everyone understood why people were talking about it after.
Here, just
after
one quick sec. Chat, can you do me a favor
Yeah.
and find that clip? You know what I'm talking about. The one where Destiny's talking to the guy with the camera in his car. He's asked like about going to visit Ice Poseidon's party or something. And he said it's not like going to visit Lauren Southern, who's went into the ocean to drown refugees. You know that one? Can you get me that clip? Someone send it to me on Discord, just so I can listen to Chaeiry here. I'm not as good as multitasking as I thought I was. Sorry, as you were saying.
Okay. So so for the political space and for political people, I think it's reasonable to comment about it like when the tweet happens. I understand, even if you're going to be bad faith, I understand that that's going to happen, and it's the onus is on the others to
Not implying I
sort
was
of
bad
try
faith,
to.
are you?
What?
Not implying I'm being bad faith, are you?
Not at that point. When the manifesto happens and it gets brought up again, I understand that it's gonna come up as a topic for people all over again. I think in this situation with TwitchCon, for it to be such a clear, awkward situation for Melina to be put in, and for her to just express that, and then for it to be met with, "Don't you remember when you quote tweeted a Nazi and they said something transphobic?"
I don't think I addressed Melina. I think I was just commenting on to other people.
Yes, you were just commenting on Twitter, but we understand like the space that we're in. Everyone's gonna know that you're talking about Steven's wife. Everyone's gonna know that you're talking about Melina, and it just feels like you chose to hang on to something and not allow her to just be
Well, no,
just be a
that
Twitch
would
partner
be
in this
that would be
situation.
that would be a part of an explanation for what was motivating Keffels to do that in the first place, potentially. So in that particular case,
No, there's no justification for why Keffels goes up to her at a partner.
Oh, I didn't say I endorse what she did. I'm just saying in terms of like an efficient explanation of what was motivating her.
You
I'm
are
not saying it's
endorsing what she
justified.
did when the only thing that you choose. You are endorsing what she did when the only thing you choose to do is bring up what Melina did like months ago.
I mean, I'm not unendorsing what she did. I think given the nature of the activities that Destiny
Exactly,
has taken with respect to her
you
and
are
Melina, I don't think
justifying-
she's
you are
under
justifying
any
Keffels.
obligation to be gentle with them.
Yeah, you're justifying Keffels and making it so that whatever. I don't even remember completely because I don't watch like her own stream, but she eventually I think ends up talking about it, and I can understand the frustration for someone like that to not be in this political space, to just want to explain a situation that has been put on blast, right? Chad Logic put the situation on blast. We don't This isn't something that she was farming for engagement or attention or anything like that. Chad Logic is the fucking drama farmer. He put that situation on blast, and then she has to talk about it, and all she's met with is people hashing out old shit that she's like, I'm not part of this space. I messed up with that fucking quote tweet, and I'm trying to get past it. And I don't think that I deserve to be put in these awkward situations over and over and over. I would like it to stop. And I think the onus is on everyone in the political.
Hello, hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hey. Sorry, my router is for some reason just shutting off randomly. It's happened twice tonight. Hopefully it doesn't happen
Hold
again.
on. You're lighting up for me, but I don't hear you.
Hello, hello?
Is like your mic muted?
No, it shouldn't be.
Oh, wait. It's not you. It's not you. Hold on. My headphones.
Okay.
My bad.
Oh my god.
Okay.
It's frustrating.
Okay. So where was I?
The onus is on everyone to be gentle with Melina while
No,
she
not to be gentle.
finds
The
her zen
onus
or
is on
something.
us to be good. The onus is on us to be good faith. We, as debate fucking bros and shit like that, we know how to keep a fucking a loop happening.
Okay,
over and
with
over
all
and
with
over
all due
again.
respect, before the Braveheart speech,
Okay.
good faith sort of implies some kind of discourse with her or about her. If we're literally just talking about, we can't mention anything to do with a matter of history about this person when an additional matter of history takes place. I don't see how that constitutes bad faith, and if that doesn't, I don't see what you could possibly be referring to with respect to me or anyone else for that matter. I don't know where you're going with this.
Okay, so I told you the point of this conversation is I think that you just fucking hate Steven. I think you have like an
I don't hate Steven.
obsessive
I even
hate.
told him to his face, like, I find him kind of personable in person. It's a damn shame he's doing what he's doing. I don't hate him.
Okay.
I don't
And
hate
I
him at
said
all.
similar to American Nacho, that I think that there are people who sometimes when they get emotional or when they start getting too heated into an argument or a disagreement, they start making bad moves. And I think holding on
Oh, it's a
to
cat. Sorry, I
the
just saw it.
I
Continue.
think holding on to whatever grudge people have about Melina and that tweet, to the point where it's carrying over situations that she is not even provoking, just hanging it over her head when she's rightfully so pointing out an awkward interaction that she faced at TwitchCon. I think that's bad faith.
Okay,
I think you are
no
messing
idea.
up.
I have no idea what you're talking about because I don't talk about Melina. But what's the cat's name? That cat is adorable.
This is Wolf, baby Wolf.
Oh, interesting. Do you have a wolf named Cat by chance? Oh, he's huge. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he is a. Fuck, where'd my mouse go? Yeah, I don't know. I think the reaction to people talking about it, the need to like defend Keffels being able to do that by like criticizing her, it was just
I have an
I thought
entire
that was too
backlog
far.
of videos that have criticized Keffels really sharply. The one
No,
time I've spoken
I'm
to
not
her
worried
IRL,
about.
we were
Listen,
yelling at each other or something akin to that.
you are implying that there is a justification for Keffels to have done what she did at TwitchCon.
A moral one, not like a practical one. I think that was probably a dumb move, but I have absolutely no moral compunctions whatsoever with her being mean to somebody who had retweeted a white nationalist who's quite possibly killed people,
Do
saying
you
that
think
she is not a woman. I have no issue with that whatsoever.
I don't think that that's reasonable for you. I think if Keffels goes up and approaches
Yeah, I think if you
Melina
can
to
call
shake
American
hands,
Nacho a garbage human, I am allowed to be
No, I acknowledge I
passive
shouldn't
with
have done.
respect to
I
that.
acknowledge I'm fucking I'm not doing that as a good person. That he could be upset with me. I don't think people should defend me doing that. Um,
I mean, I
and
defend
I
you
think
doing
that
that.
if
I mean,
you
he was
are
calling other people garbage people. I don't think you're under any moral compunction to pull your punches with that person.
so I think Keffel's going out of her way to
Mhm.
engage Melina like in whatever tippiness that she did, reaching out to shake her hand, only to pull her into a situation where she's being rude and threatening to her husband. I just don't understand why we're justifying that.
Okay. Here's. Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Okay. I have so little connection with this particular issue. I don't feel like
We
we're
can
gonna.
move on.
I'm sure you have a stronger one. Like this.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Okay. So let's
Yeah,
move on to
that's
that.
why I didn't think we were even gonna stick on this.
Okay.
The rest of the fucking hate. You said that anybody who is I think a lot of flack that I'm seeing with your engagement with Destiny and
Uh-huh.
his fans, I don't understand all of it, and I don't know why it's happening as extreme as it is. And I tried to maybe chalk it up to you're just
You think it's
you're playing
extreme?
like the content game. Yeah.
Have you seen what Destiny's tweeted at people?
Yeah, I used to
Have
follow
you seen
him.
what he's retweeted about me? Have you seen what he's said about me?
What has he said about
He had
you?
things to say today in the debate with Aaron.
He
He characterized Aaron as being fucked in the brain because he was listening to that retard Sunday. It's a almost verbatim quote. Destiny's kind of a piece of shit to a lot of people. Chaeiry, I don't know if you've been paying attention.
Do you think that you're not mind fucking her a bit?
I very strongly do not think I am mind fucking her at all.
Okay.
Why do you think
When
I'm mind fucking her? Why would you say that?
Okay. I think mind fucking sounds intentional, and I don't.
It sounds
I have
bad
not
in a
done
number of
lore.
ways.
Yeah. Well, fucking is always good, so I
No,
don't
it
know
is not,
how bad you're
unfortunately.
taking it.
Destiny's community would do well to recognize the distinction between good fucking and bad fucking. But as you were continuing, go on.
Well, yeah, there is good fucking. Okay. Anyway, I have this experience where coming out of a debate,
Yeah.
emotions are high, recollections, especially if you feel like it hasn't gone good, recollections are wavery, and honestly, you're almost desperate for validation and for excuses.
Excuses.
And yeah,
What do I need
for why there
excuses
was
for?
excuses for why it was a difficult conversation that
Huh?
doesn't have to do with any fault of your own.
Which
These are just
conversation? Which conversation?
well, I'm just sort of talking blanketly right now.
No, I understand,
But
but like you said, a difficult conversation. Anchor that a little bit. Like, what are we referring to?
like, so if you're having a debate and you feel like the other person isn't like has made it very difficult for you to speak, to be listened to be understood.
Who was I having a debate with?
I'm not saying you were. We're talking about Erin being mind fucked, and I'm talking about maybe the mental state that she could have been in after a debate, which would have put her in a position to be very receptive to somebody who is willing to tell her all of the things that paint Destiny as like the cause for anything bad that happened in that conversation, and almost remove any personal responsibility
I don't
that
think
she could have had.
I don't think I'm removing personal responsibility from her for pointing out ways
So
in which
you're
she
taking
didn't adequately reply to like a rhetorical tactic, which I think is disingenuous, and I stand by that.
I haven't gotten to watch the entire debate, so this
You're
is
advised to do so.
unfortunate.
It gets pretty nasty actually. He's a
I
slippery
will.
devil.
I will watch the whole debate.
Do
But
I have any male victims by chance?
do you have any male victims?
Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit of disparity here.
I haven't said that you have any victims.
Okay, continue.
Oh, okay. I think when you get into a conversation with someone right after a debate and you tell them that the individual that they were talking to was bad faith the entire time, and that it's just something that they do. It's just you are even she didn't agree with you even after your conversation with her. She still came to the conclusions that he was in bad faith, and I think it would be good to like reflect on that and think of like, me as President Sunday, why do I think Destiny is so bad faith? If even the person who disagrees with him and that I tried to instill confidence in them, like also thinks he's still like good faith.
Uh, it seems very much like I didn't mindfuck her at all. She seems like a very independent, autonomous agent with her own mind and opinions.
I didn't say you were
And the
successful at
strength
it.
of and the strength. Oh, I'm attempting to mindfuck her. I'm not just giving an opinion on like debate tactics and debate strategy and what to do in a particular context.
Well,
Like Destiny does
no.
all the
So what you
time after
did,
every single debate he reviews when he talks to
okay,
one
so
participant
that's
afterwards.
the other thing. That's the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't like really recommend very much about debate, but almost implied that debating or being viewed as a debate bro was a bad thing.
It
Even
is a
though we are
bad
both
thing.
in the
The
debate
direct
sphere.
implication of being a
Even though she's
debate.
talking to a debater. Like
Yeah,
why
but
would you
hang on,
have why
Cherry,
would you have a
when people
conversation with
no
somebody?
when people call
Okay.
somebody a debate bro, they're not saying, oh, this is an independent thinker who happens to be engaging in a debate right now. What the implication is that this is a person whose job is debate or whose like hobby is debate, and therefore the moves that they make are for the purpose of succeeding in a debate and not at getting at knowledge or truth or anything. Like they're not to solve problems. It's just literally for just the act itself, and there's something dishonorable about that. It's pejorative. Debate bro is not a nice thing to be called. It sounds like trash. It's a nasty
I
word.
think I understand if you don't like being called it.
I'm not a debate bro. I almost don't. I
I
don't think
understand that a
I'm
lot of
never in
people
debates. Actually, I think I've been in a grand total of 5 in like the 3 or so years I've been doing this. I don't debate very often. I'm a video
most
essayist and I do political streams, but I rarely debate.
okay, your video essays are another
Seven
conversation we can
debates
get
actually.
to.
I'm recalling it a little bit.
So I think there's a lot of times in content and even in our personal lives where we think that what we're engaging with another person
Mm-hmm.
is somehow better or less contention, like there's less contention involved or whatever if we just call it a conversation, even though we are technically like debating.
Sure.
I think that when we say debate bro, it is almost it's almost derogatory.
It can be pretty derogatory. I mean, for example, Keffels has even gone to calling them debate perverts recently. I don't know if she originated that, but that's where I heard it from.
It often seems like a insult that is thrown around or an insult that is put on somebody to feel bad about being confident in their opinions, confident in their position, and having such a high demand for anyone to really move them. And I think that that's what we like in people, to have come to their conclusions for a solid reason and to not just move and waver and fucking um go with the wind as soon as somebody challenges them on a single fucking factor. I very much liked if if Erin uh if Erin is really strong in her beliefs, really wants to defend them, and I don't care if it makes Steven pull his fucking hair out. I do not fucking care. If he resorted to calling her a debate bro, then motherfucker, she must be doing something right. And I'm glad that she wasn't insulted by the term. I think it's a badge of honor, and I think he has done that to many people he respects. Uh, Pisco being one of them, a lawyer, just never really um, concedes on too much when it comes to Stephen because he knows that he's pretty well informed and has come to his decision um, outside of him with like some foundation. So it demands that Stephen really qualify where he wants Pisco to move. And I think if he got the same feeling from Aaron, I don't know if it's out of frustration or a lack of trust that he has on her, or for her if she wasn't articulating her point or something like that. There could be a reason why it makes the audience feel bad about her. But I think having those qualities is pretty wonderful.
Chaeiry, you didn't bring me here to complain about me mentioning Melina and telling Aaron that Debate Bro was
I
probably
am
casting
trying to
aspersions
figure
on her,
out why
right?
you're on a I'm telling you, most of this conversation is well, first meeting you. We haven't really met.
Hi.
And then also trying to understand why the fuck why you hate Destiny.
I don't hate
Because that
Destiny.
that I don't understand.
I don't hate
But you say
Destiny.
you don't hate him.
I don't hate him.
Okay. So
Yeah.
then what is our negative take on Steven?
It's multifaceted. I think immediately, after a whole bunch of other stuff, and this is sort of in common again with the issues that Mr. Girl has with him, as a matter of fact, with respect to him directing audience flow to people like Nick Fuentes and Sneeko, yada yada yada. We made an agreement. We made a very good faith agreement. He said that you cannot talk to the left as a result of on the evidence of the overwhelming number of professors that had been kicked out of universities for not towing the progressive line. And I said, well, I don't think that's overwhelming. I'll tell you what. Let's look into this a bit further. Let's take some time. Let's research this, and then let's meet it again at a future date, and let's talk it over and actually get at the truth of the matter. Or if we can't, we can at least settle on that. It's like, okay. So I spend about 15 to 17 hours on stream researching. His community puts together a massive document with a massive list of all the professors they can find as examples. His community, yeah, this is on his Reddit. We go over them on stream. We assemble tons of documents. We go through all of the primary sources. We watch videos. We read emails. Everything, line by line. I actually start off agreeing with his take on Brett Weinstein. I start off, and you can see in my streams, I start off complaining about the tyrannical attitude of the email response to Brett because I read the emails out of order and I didn't realize what he had said initially. Time goes on. We finish, to my satisfaction, the review of all of the cases, and I make a summary video outlining all of our findings. I give this to him. He asks, hey, can I watch it on stream? Sure, he does. His research is going through them line by line as well. So he starts off with the Benjamin Boyce documentaries on Evergreen, and he never gets past Brett. Just trails off, insinuates that I haven't read the emails, ghosts. Doesn't say he's going to cancel. Doesn't say he's pressed for time or whatever. Can we reschedule? Doesn't say he's lost interest. Ghosts. Goes silent. Doesn't mention it again. Doesn't respond to messages. Nothing. At this point, we are on completely good terms. I have not said anything disrespectful to him. I have thanked his community for their efforts. I have sent him my research so he can be as prepared as possible. And if he loses this debate, he's actually in a golden position because he can now take this finding that dispels a conservative conspiracy theory and use that for what he claims he's doing with Sneeko and Nick Fuentes, trying to fight their bad ideas with his good ideas. But because he said something that was disproved by the bare fact of having to do the research in the first place, that he had the evidence of overwhelming amounts of professors being kicked out of universities, and he didn't even know which ones were kicked out of universities or if they were, going through the list, I guess that kind of looks too bad for him. He cares more about looking like he knows everything that he says and actually does research and preparation he doesn't do, than actually doing good in the world and not doing harm. And so after really a couple of months, when I realized he ghosted, then I'm like, okay, time to nut up or shut up. You gonna do this, or you ghost, or are you ditching? Are you running from the debate? And he did. He was surprised when Aaron came to him prepared on that topic. And by the way, she's not my person. She was a follower a long time ago, but I didn't know that. And she had watched my streams and became.
I've been in a pretty similar situation.
Yeah.
With Steven. I told him to nut up or shut up, and he also ghosted me.
Verbatim,
But
huh?
go on.
Why would you defend someone who's done that to you?
I'm memeing. But go on. I'm sorry. It was just a joke opportunity, and I can't help myself. I'm hilarious.
Can you explain it to me? I'm a little curious.
No, I'm not gonna explain it for you.
Oh, that's not very funny. And well, that's about it. And then in addition to this, he continues to repeat the falsehoods that he will refuse to have challenged on stream, as he agreed to. He fled. I'm sorry, like he ran from the debate. He had months to prepare, and at this juncture, he still has almost no command of the sources. It's astonishing. That's about it. No, I don't hate him.
This is my.
But he's
I
a
don't know
toxic
why
and
I
disingenuous actor.
So I don't know why I remembered this differently. I thought you I thought you made something to disagree with him, and that your big contention was that he watched you on 2 times speed and barely reacted to it, and then didn't have a conversation with you afterwards or something. Or it was very short and you didn't feel like you got what
No,
you
we spent a
wanted out
long
of it.
time, as a matter of fact, going over Brett Weinstein research in preparation for the for the debate slash conversation. And it would be
And
a
didn't you
debate
also
slash
have a
conversation depending on. Yeah, well, the agreement was at the
did you have a
tail end
conversation with him after the Vosh manifesto?
after the Vosh manifesto. I have
Or was
no
that
idea.
someone
I'm
else?
not. That might be
Oh,
somebody else.
okay.
I have no idea about the Vosh manifesto. The debate agreement took place at the tail end of an hour and a half long conversation. When I was when he was covering my coverage of his. I guess that was just a general manifesto. Was that wasn't the Keppel's manifesto? That was a different one. The Keppel's manifesto was later. Man writes too many manifestos. Anyways, we were covering a
Yeah.
manifesto thing, and he highlighted my guests on Twitter. And so
Oh, okay,
I
okay,
called in
yes.
to say,
I
like, hey,
remember this.
can you not do that? Yeah.
This was you and your friends were talking about the Vosh manifesto, I think.
I don't think it was a Vosh manifesto. I think it was like a general
It
manifesto. I think
yeah,
it
it
featured
was
Vosh, but I think it was like against the left
it was like
generally.
yeah, it was about the cancellation, but there was like a chapter on Vosh, so I started calling it the Vosh manifesto.
Okay, I think we missed that chapter.
But
I
yeah,
don't think we really were interested in that, but
yeah, I don't think you hit that chapter either, so I'm confusing you. But I think we're talking about the same manifesto.
okay. And anyway, so that's that. And then we had a conversation in which he just said stuff, and I challenged the stuff. He didn't really have much to push back with. And then at the end, we were just kind of at a stalemate because he was just insisting on things without anything to back it up. And I did not come prepared with a list. So I was like, okay, well, why don't we actually go through this productively? Let's do something different. You want to have like productive conversations with leftists? Here we go. Let's actually just dig in. And
Okay.
for a little while, he looked like he was in good faith going to do it. He's like, I'll shoot you a thesis. We had like a back and forth on Discord. He never managed to get the thesis out, but he sent me the list from Reddit. He signed off on it, and we went down the list. It took a long time. We even had interviews. We brought in one of the people who was responsible for getting the person at the bottom of the list, Stephen Shu, or was critical in organizing to get him removed from the administrative position that he was in after the racist things he was saying about Black IQ to Stefan Molyneux. So like it was a lot of work, a lot of man hours went into that. I didn't assemble all of the documents. I had a bunch of people from my server doing so, and all of that because on the ego of a liar. I am angry about that. I don't hate him. I'm disgusted by what he's decided to make of himself, but I don't hate him.
So I'm glad you don't hate him. I believe you when you say you don't hate him. I told you this that I'm always skeptical when I see people who fling so much shit on Twitter, especially when it's so fucking like dramatic. Like when you say when you guys are done like used up by destiny, like come over and like join me or something like that. Like literally sounding like you're asking people,
Oh well, what was
hey,
going on? Yeah,
when you're ready to turn on
well,
destiny, come
not
to my
exactly,
community.
not exactly. See, at the time,
Okay.
when Mr. Girl was criticizing him for the Fuentes Association, like Mr. Girl's like a Jewish guy, Fuentes is an anti-Semite Nazi white supremacist, who has like that like cookies in the oven thing that originated with him, I believe. When people were backing up Mr. Girl in his critique, and they were making like these really thoughtful and lengthy explanations of their problems with sort of the political moves and the publicity stunts that Destiny was going on. He cussed them out on stream and had his mods, and I think he may have personally started deleting all of that, like just hours of people's work.
Who cursed? Wait, who cursed who out?
Destiny just called them like fucking R slurs and whatever, and
Who?
had them removed.
Mr. Max?
I'm sure
Or
he did. I'm
the-
sure he did to Max at some point, but I'm talking about just people in his community, just randos
Oh, okay.
who had like written up like things
Well-
like, we've been in this community a long time. I'm not liking like the lack of conscientiousness about this issue. Here's where it's a problem. Can we like talk reasonably about this? And he just cursed them out, like very civil, congenial, earnest and sincere complaints and commentaries. He just
follow
wiped them
the
out.
Reddit. Listen, I don't follow the Reddit, and if you are on Max's side about like the orbiter shit, I'm super just like
About the orbiter shit.
it's
No,
hard for
I'm
me to
talking
join
about
in.
Nick Fuentes. I have no notion about the orbiter shit.
Okay, because here's the thing, being a streamer myself who does attract a lot of people who want to tell me what the fuck to do, even when they're sometimes right, and I take it into consideration heavily, I need to kick that person the fuck out. I need to ban them, for like my mental, like that day, like I just can't. Um,
Okay, but Nick
and I know
Fuentes, Nick
for
Fuentes.
a lot of people, for a lot of people, that looks like, oh, you're a hypocrite. You can't take criticism. Um, like I take it, but I don't want to be abused by it, and some days are harder than
Okay,
others.
sure, but in this context, we're talking about people making really sincere complaints about somebody directing a tremendous audience flow, which means a lot of
So I
capital and a
don't
lot. Hang on,
know.
slow down, slow down.
Okay, okay.
I'm just let me finish explaining quickly because it is important. A tremendous amount of audience flow and therefore capital to someone. That word capital is kind of gonna ring a little bit here because to somebody who very recently was present in what now seems unambiguously to be an attempt by the previous Republican president at a coup against the democracy, among all of the other things, including like
Yeah, January
extraordinarily
6th.
toxic activities, both politically and even with respect to his own organization. If you want to get a laugh, there's an old gamergatey guy from way back called Mr. Medicare, who recently took Nick Fuentes to pieces on stream over his ridiculous abuses of people in his own organization. He did more damage to Nick Fuentes and his political aspirations than Destiny
Yeah,
ever
I
did with all of
remember
his
that
debates.
civil.
Yeah.
I remember that feud.
So people are really put out that after this person who's a really bad actor and actually really dangerous was basically put out of political existence, that he resurrected his career. And this has like wide-reaching consequences, right? Because it's not just Nick Fuentes that comes out of this. The fact that Nick Fuentes now becomes connected with Destiny, or becomes more connected with Destiny, and therefore gains like wider, more access to like other large streamers that Destiny deals with, means that other people in his sphere who like in the right wing in that sort of like toxic dark area who want to have a similar level of access, well, they have to ingratiate themselves to Fuentes. It's basically making the right wing worse. It's a really bad thing, especially right now when we have like a massive right wing wave going across the country and even across the globe. Like it's bad. People are actually even right now in Florida, they just banned a whole bunch of stuff with respect to people having access to HRT and whatnot. There are like initiatives being pushed all across the country to bar people from even talking about trans and gay issues. There are entire categories of person who are being depersoned by this ideological movement. For Destiny to be doing this right now is at best extraordinarily and astonishingly irresponsible, especially given the fact that he built his entire career fighting these people. Like, he knows better. What the fuck is he doing? Like, people who want to retain the idea that he's some, like, decent figure at heart, they can't compute this because these don't work together. The only reason why people are even angry at Destiny at all is because they retain some level of respect for him that makes these actions discordant. It's like, it's still like, nobody's saying like, I can't believe Nick Fuentes did that. Nick Fuentes, you're doing a bad thing. No, because they expect Nick Fuentes to do a bad thing. People expect more from Steven. Decreasingly so, but they did.
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
I listen, I understand that people need to criticize him on what he's doing. That platforming, there's a danger. Not, I don't even know if there's a danger. There's absolutely a conversation to be had, concerns to be raised, people's feelings to be heard. It was one of my big things. I don't know if you've seen any of my YouTube videos, but
I have not. I'm sorry. The only exposure
it's
I've had
okay.
to you was the Stardust talk.
It's okay. I hope to expose myself to you more. I'm so sorry. Oh
You're not Mr. Girl saying that. It's okay. Continue.
One of my criticisms of Max around that time was not the fact that he was criticizing Steven. It was the fact that his criticisms of Steven were contradictory to his own goals and his platform. So it felt like I was looking from him something to explain the change in mind that he has had
Who, Mr.
about
Girl?
about having a difficult conversation with someone that is villainized. I think he very
I
much
mean,
started off.
Mr. Girl's like a muddle-headed mess. Like I don't
Yeah,
disagree with you.
but I'm just saying, when it comes to criticizing Steven for that, I think when people who are supportive of him that have the problem with what he's doing,
Mm-hmm.
and when they don't just say, "Oh my God, this is dangerous. Oh my God, he's a Nazi," like when they can elaborate more and explain that their change of mind, like
Yeah.
that's when I think that the criticism is like super productive.
Okay,
I
so
don't think
what
criticism is
happens?
always
What happens?
productive.
What happens if a lot of people are doing that and they're taking pains to do it well? We're talking like Bible book length, okay?
Okay.
Sealing the floor of text.
I mean, can we just use you for an example? Because you're saying that, like, the first thing that you had a problem with Steven
Yeah.
was feeling like he dismissed you as somebody who didn't do your homework.
No, not at
But
all.
you-
Not at all. I'm
but
just saying.
you-
No,
oh,
that was a point of comparison. If you're taking issue with my tone,
No, but I'm saying like that's a good example. Like you shouldn't, for him to come to a conclusion that you didn't do your homework. I don't know the situation, but I'm taking your word for it that you did the homework, you did it on stream in front of people, and to be treated like you didn't do it, that's probably going to be shitty. It's probably going to be a really bad vibe, and it's probably going to make you see this instance of him and his ability to just shut down people without really looking into whether it's good criticism or not, because you yourself had good criticism and you were shut down. Is that like a fair retelling of this?
that wasn't even criticism of him. That was part of a mutual collaborative effort to research something. He decided it was more advantageous to him to maintain the fiction, so he denied the exchange that he agreed to. That wasn't even having to do with him. He literally had nothing to lose except for the fact that he's really banking on being able to court a right-wing audience by saying wokeism has gone too far all the time. Which, unfortunately, these being his only examples, if he gets criticized on that point, well, he's kind of up a creek, isn't he?
I think he's supposed to be up a creek. I think that's
Well, I mean,
proven.
that's my position, but
No, because okay, so hear me out. Like let's think of a court, right? Prosecutor and a defender.
Mhm.
We want them to make the best fucking arguments, despite, right? Everyone has an idea that, like, let's say O.J. Simpson is guilty. We don't want the defendant in the middle of the fucking trial to start like wavering and making concessions, right? We want him to really
if they're
make his
guilty,
fucking
we do.
argument.
If they're guilty, we do.
No, we don't,
Yeah, we
because
do.
we want to give it a fair fucking chance. And we want to come to
But I mean, a
conclusions
fair
with two
fucking
positions.
Oh,
Hold
continue.
on, just
no,
let me.
yeah, go on.
We want to come to conclusions with two positions that are thoroughly arguing their side,
Mhm.
and that our informed decision isn't something that has been like a kind of swayed a bit, like in the middle of the fucking trial.
Sure.
I think that that is what makes the best debates. It makes terrible fucking conversation, right? People feel like they're not being understood throughout, and it's much of a struggle. But I think when you have two people who are going to argue their position, they're going to stake their claim that they did from the start throughout the fucking conversation, and then the onus is on you to actually provide what they need to move on it later on. And we understand that people don't generally like change right after a debate. It probably takes time and time and time. I think it's on us as people in this space to make it less toxic by like allowing those things to exist without painting him for being toxic for doing that. You're painting it as a narrative, like, oh, the only reason he's doing this is to foster
no,
a conservative.
I'm painting him as doing precisely what he's doing, which is
Yeah, because you're saying it's
No,
because he
hang
wants
on.
to foster a conservative
no,
audience, right?
Yes, decidedly so. I mean, that was his initial justification for the Nick Fuentes and Lauren Southern sanitations when I addressed them the first time. It's his business model. But moreover to the point, he is not allowing for there to be an exchange of ideas at all, much less an exchange of like the best defenses possible. The best defenses possible he's identified as such, and he's eliminated them from view. His entire his activity recently has been to only allow people he thinks he can beat blindfolded, and to make sure that every single person who mounts a robust attack on him, who he doesn't have a leash around like Mr. Girl, is just completely silenced. The only reason why Mr. Girl is still allowed to show his face is because Destiny knows that Mr. Girl values the connection too much to actually push it too far. Today was an exception. I was actually kind of surprised by it. We'll see if he actually holds to that ultimatum that
Listen,
he
I
gave,
don't know
but-
why Steven talks. They apparently have a friendship. I am
'Cause it's
more
easy.
inclined to
It's easy. It's safe.
I think my worst faith interpretation on why they talk is probably because Steven enjoys being gaslit sometimes. It might be like
I think you
nostalgic,
have a
don't know.
notion I think you have a notion of bad faith where it's mean or antagonistic. Bad faith doesn't mean that. Bad faith means that you are deploying obscuring or dishonest tactics to
I'm-
portray a debate as something other than it actually
I
is.
completely understand. No, I
Okay.
completely understand.
Okay.
I understand the negative connotations around bad faith, the negative connotations around debate, bro. What I am arguing is that this shit is supposed to happen in debates. He's not supposed to fucking bend at the will for you, before you've
Oh,
completely
we didn't have
solidly
a
moved him
we didn't
over.
have the debate. He fled and
Or with whoever he's talking to, right? I think
well, who are we talking to? Who are we talking about?
I mean he was talking to Aaron, right? You said that he was bad faith to Aaron.
He
in
has
that debate.
extensive Destiny has extensive videos from the past where he talks about how it's a dishonest move to try to refer to common sense, to try to wash over somebody saying that a thing they're saying doesn't actually correspond to
Bruh,
reality.
I'm not saying
And he himself
Listen,
in
I
his
am not
hang on,
saying he's
slow down,
perfect
slow
in a
down.
debate.
No, it's not
Okay,
about
okay.
not about perfect. He's actually excellent. The problem is he doesn't deploy his tactics
He's not
towards
excellent.
as a rhetorician. He's fantastic.
No, he's not excellent. And
No,
Listen,
he's
I-
actually
I-
really good.
I
He's gotten
actually can't
lazy,
believe
but
the
he's
amount,
really
I
good.
can't believe the amount of people who will call me a Destiny bootlicker and then like demand that I think that he is like the best and the most untouchable. Okay, Aaron laid him the fuck out in the first sentence that she said, talking to him again on stream, where she clowned on him because he fucking said, in the definition of wokeism, he used the word woke. Like you dumbass. Okay, this is why I clowned on Vosh when I asked him what the fuck a liberal was to him, and he used the word liberalism in the definition. Like this is just rookie fucking
Well,
mistakes.
not
You
exactly
are too
because
good to be
Destiny.
making those
Well,
mistakes.
not really though because you
That
can
is-
actually.
yeah, that is
No,
being
because
locked
you'll
the fuck
actually.
up.
Oh no, hang on, because you can actually find in the
Mhm.
dictionary terms, for example, that say like, what is itism? Well, itism is the ideology that invokes to associate with this. Well, what is this? And then you have a separate definition for what woke means. These are two different
When
words,
you are
wokeism and woke, right?
debating, when you're debating, you're having a conversation with somebody. You're not supposed to regurgitate how a dictionary defines a word. You're supposed to have your own.
No. I'm
way
not
of
saying. I'm not.
explaining it.
Hang on. I'm not saying. I'm not saying regurgitated. I'm just using that as
I
an
just-
example of like how a
Can we
definition
acknowledge
can
that
work.
you are the one defending him here? I am giving valid criticism as to why he is not the perfect fucking debate bro that you
Oh, I'm not
think he
defending
is.
him at all. If he was incompetent,
Okay.
I would overlook a ton. The
I don't think he's
reason why,
incompetent, but what I'm saying is he makes mistakes like anybody
of
else.
course he does, but he's very good. Everybody makes mistakes, but he makes
Yeah, but sometimes you guys think he's like larger than life. But
no,
it's
not at
mostly
all.
because
No,
he's
I
just-
think he's
it's mostly because
painfully.
he's more prepared and more practiced than most people who go and talk to him.
No, the reason why
But it
is
still
because
causes him to make similar like missteps.
No,
mistakes.
no. Largely, the reason why he makes a ton of missteps recently has been due to laziness. In the past, it's just been due to like normal human limitations. Sometimes your mind slips. Right now, what's happened is he controls the environment
Yeah,
to
not
an
enough meth.
extraordinary degree, and he has an audience that does not hold him to account. He likes to say it does, but it really doesn't. So he can literally just say and do anything, and there's nobody will actually connect the
I don't know
dots
why
and show
you
the
would
record.
say. I don't know why you would say he has an audience that doesn't hold him to account. Why
because
would you say that?
because when he is doing things, for example, like making reckless associations to their benefit with people like Lauren Southern and Nick Fuentes, and when he's making treating agreements with bad faith, nobody actually pins him for this at all. You know, if
That's
what you're gonna say, if what
absolutely
you're gonna
not
say,
true.
that's absolutely true.
That's
What we were
absolutely
just
not true.
talking about is a case in point.
It's absolutely not true. One of his
We were
fucking,
just we
like,
were literally
favorites-
just talking
one
about.
of his favorites could not stop hopping onto his stream to be able to criticize Lauren Southern. I don't know if you know who Pisco is. I
I
mentioned him
don't.
before.
It doesn't matter.
But he recently became a lawyer. He's into immigration law, and he has been on Lauren's ass, like not her like literal ass.
Was he
but
on
he's been
Was he on
on her.
Destiny's ass? Was he on Destiny's ass?
Yes, he's on
Really?
Destiny's ass for not
with,
holding her
with
feet to
hang
the
on,
fire.
slow
yes.
down, slow down. With penalties,
And not
though.
just Pisco,
Hang on,
Fanatic,
Chaeiry.
Mr.
Chaeiry.
Fanatic, another person on his
Chaeiry.
ass. Like
Chaeiry.
a lot of his.
Chaeiry.
Okay.
Was
go
he
ahead.
just providing endless opportunity to argue about Lawrence Southern, or was he actually pushing him and giving him ultimatums
him.
and penalties
No.
for it?
Pis-
So
Pisco does not
what did Destiny
bend
stand
the
what
knee
did
for fucking
Destiny
Destiny.
what did Destiny stand to lose if he was unreasonable in those conversations?
Wait,
If
what?
the answer is nothing, what did Destiny stand to lose if he was unreasonable or dishonest in his engagements with Pisco? What does he stand to lose? What does Pisco stand to lose if he cuts ties with Destiny?
Are you you're going to do the orbiter argument with like what Max
I've
is
just
doing?
can you just answer the question?
Is that what this is?
I have no idea. Just answer the
Because
question.
I don't understand what you mean.
But you answer. But you understand the question, though. You understand the form of the question and what the content is. You can answer it surely. What does Destiny stand
Okay.
to lose if he is dishonest to Pisco, and what does Pisco stand to lose if, as a result of that, he cuts ties with Destiny?
I think what Destiny stands to lose is being viewed as a fucking retard. Because I'm sorry, but every conversation that you're having is recorded and on the internet. Everything that you're saying, people can reference back and find the clips to make you look like a dumbass.
Indeed. And yet here we are.
Yeah. What?
He agreed to have a conversation. Tremendous amounts of man hours went into supplying the information for that conversation. When it was not to his advantage, he ghosted.
No, he did not ghost Pisco.
He did
He's
ghost.
taken
He
every
ghosted me.
conversation with Pisco.
I don't know who Pisco is. I don't care who Pisco is. He
Oh, well-
ghosted me.
Okay. I think that maybe your
It's
type of
wonderful.
engagement-
It's wonderful that there is my type of engagement was to say, hey, let's collaborate on this. Let's pass notes, and we
So-
did.
if I can point you to the direction of Max,
Mm-hmm.
there are things that Max is currently doing
Okay.
that I believe for Destiny, his moderators, and probably even like his editors, that red flags come up.
What does this have to do with me?
There are people that Destiny can engage with who
What does that have to
who
do with me?
are red flags, and it's considered whether or not you engage, right?
Okay,
I
what is
think
this?
that-
What does this have to do with me, though? These are other people. I've been
I'm trying to
saying
explain
I've
to
been
you
saying
that
you
it's
shouldn't be
possible.
platforming Max for months now.
I think it's possible, and maybe even for you, unintentional, that the way that you go about getting his attention or criticizing his sphere that might come off as a red flag and makes you somebody that he's not interested in extending these courtesies for.
No, it was
And
months.
I
It was
would,
months.
I would
Hang
say
on,
that
hang
that's
on.
a harm.
No, it
I
was
would,
it was.
well, just
Chaeiry,
first let me finish. First,
I know,
can
but you're
just finish?
historically wrong. You're
Okay,
historically
but just
wrong.
let me finish
But-
and then correct me.
But
Because maybe if you understand where
but
I'm
you're
coming
finishing
from,
an
you won't view it as
incorrect
so
thought.
Okay, go ahead.
It was months since we agreed, and I quietly let him. Hey, he said, "Hey, I'm super busy. Do you want to just go tomorrow?" No,
Not
I
true.
want you to be
I've known
prepared.
about you from this whole time.
What? I'm
You've
not talking about you.
quietly. You've not quietly been waiting for Destiny's fucking call.
I have the screenshots of the messages right here. I can show you actually. There
Oh,
are
in
months
his
of
DMs,
gap.
maybe what we're talking about.
Oh, I didn't
reaching
start.
out-
I didn't start tweeting at him until months later when he had ghosted the conversation.
Okay, so okay.
So
You're-
no.
so what you're saying
months
here
months
is that you-
transpired. He ghosted, and then I
So you're
said,
saying
"Hey,
you were
are you going
patient for
to?"
months.
I was patient for
You-
months,
you-
and initially, by
you
the
were patient
way,
for months, and you
initially,
expect-
hang on.
Yeah.
Initially, I didn't
Okay.
criticize him on Twitter. I
Mm-hmm.
eventually messaged him on Twitter when he had ceased responding for months. Hey, so we've assembled all this stuff. You went over our research summary on stream, so you're aware of this, and you even started to do the research. When is this going to happen? I'm good to go anytime after the beginning of next month. I gave him a tremendous amount of leeway. He didn't reply. And so
Okay.
a few weeks of that, a few months of that, in fact, and then I'm like, okay. So he chickened out. And
Mm-hmm.
that's about it. And considering that he continues to peddle the thing that we determined by our research to be a lie, I am entirely in the right. In fact, I almost have a mandate to keep pointing that out.
Listen, I want him to have a debate with you. I want him to have a conversation with you. So that's probably a big reason why I don't want you to. I'm trying. You know, I'm speculating here, right? I've never spoken to him about you. I have no idea. I don't speak to his.
Oh, I know you're
moderation team.
entirely speculating. I'm not taking you in
Yeah.
bad faith at all. I don't think you're.
Okay.
I don't think anything
I'm
bad
just-
of you.
So I'm
I'm just.
trying I'm trying to get a feel for why maybe he's still not taking a conversation, and maybe current behavior right now makes it seem like you are maybe someone red flag, undesirable
Why,
to engage with, no fucking idea. Or like viewing you as bad faith because of some of the almost like cartoonish tweets that you put out. But I
Oh,
do
no.
understand.
Well, that
I
can't.
didn't
Well, hang on.
initially.
No. But that can't be a causal explanation because him
Yes,
ghosting
let me engage
precedes
with you
those.
being. Let me engage with what you corrected me on. So you said
Okay.
that you were the unhinged that I am. It's probably, I don't even know how fair it is to call it all unhinged.
How about you
but
just call
whatever
them
I'm
strident? Strident's a nice word that sort of
Strident?
encapsulates the angle. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Listen, we're simple terms with me. Okay. I will not extend my vocabulary for you.
Haughty. How about that?
Hot tea? That's a drink. No. Nope. Something simpler.
Mean.
Okay.
Okay.
How about shit posting?
I wasn't shit posting.
Okay, fine. Your mean tweets. So I think most people maybe notice you starting at the mean tweets. I think that's going to be fair to say. Most people don't acknowledge anyone in his sphere when they are engaging in good faith behind the scenes or whatever like that, and they're being patient. I think most people will take notice once somebody has turned a bit fucking mean.
You put your finger on
Um,
something.
Yeah.
You put your finger on something really important. Given that he ghosted, let's just play this out hypothetically, okay? Let's say he did ghost. Let's say you
Wait,
agree
you
with
don't
me.
even let me fucking engage with what you said. You
I
gotta let me
will.
finish.
No, but this is important because we'll lose the moment.
Okay.
If he did ghost, hypothetically, let's assume you agree with me that he ghosted. What are some reasons he would do that? In the absence, because
He
remember this is
doesn't even.
before. In the absence,
Okay.
we're speculating. We're just speculating. You can speculate about
But
me. You
I'm
can
gonna.
speculate about
I
Steve.
don't even. Okay, I'll speculate, but I think he doesn't need a reason to ghost you.
All right, but if he had one,
If he had one, let's say the topic was boring. His
no,
personal
he
life was
agreed.
in.
He agreed to the conversation. He already was researching it, and he brought up the
He
point
agrees
earlier.
to everybody about everything. Okay.
No, he doesn't.
I don't know how to break it to you.
No, he doesn't. That's not true. When we were talking about Mr. Girl today with the debate pro thing, that was a disagreement. He didn't agree to
He
jack.
agrees to entertain conversations about like anything.
Oh no. We agreed and exchanged notes over a period of weeks. He even went over my research on stream.
Okay.
So he's not bored. He was invested enough to devote a stream to it.
Okay, but it's very possible after the stream, then he was bored.
Under which cases he would say, "Hey, this is boring. We're not going to do this," right?
I don't know if he would say that.
Are there any standards at all that you would hold him to?
No, I'm saying that I don't know that he would say that.
Okay. What I was fishing for is typically when somebody ghosts, it's because they don't want to deal with the consequences of explaining why they're not having the engagement. People do this on dating apps all the time, for example. Just less awkward just to delete the thing, right? Okay.
Yeah, we understand like women for example, sometimes won't
And
tell
Destiny
people
is a girl's
that
name,
they're
so
not-
this is perfect. So anyways,
let the meme die.
no, that one's never going to
But
die.
sometimes, okay, so for example, women will sometimes not tell people that they're ghosting them because they want to avoid an emotional or a conflicting interaction.
So will men.
And I
This is
think-
not us. This is not a gender thing at all. But the
No,
point is, however, is
Oh,
that
just
if
because you're a man does not mean you are less emotional. Need I say?
I agree, but that's beside the
Max.
point. Where I'm going with this is that if the purpose of ghosting is to avoid the consequences of the social interaction around the thing, and that includes in the case of like a major media figure like Destiny, the commentary around the thing, then me tweeting about it, and as you say, getting a lot of attention, that is how I would counter that. That is how I would bring attention to the fact that this person has acted in a dishonorable way with respect to this issue. And it's so cheap and easy to do. It takes nothing. Oh, it occurs to me. Back to my research. I'm not angry at
No
all. This is
problem.
the easiest thing in the world.
Wait, hold on. Listen, I have no problem with you.
I mean, I am angry, but not like, that's not moving, it's tweets. Yeah,
I
go
have
on.
no problem with you mean tweeting. Okay, I'm gonna go
Good.
back to engaging the way that it was before.
Okay,
All right.
continue.
So you've made it clear that you guys had this. You started this rapport with him. You guys started this engagement. It was mutual. It did start, and you were patient for months. And at a certain point, you got fucking fed up, and then you started mean tweeting. And I think you've been doing everything you're comfortable with to I don't know if humiliate is a good word. Who cares if you humiliate him? But like to call him the fuck out, basically.
Yeah.
Show like, hey, he was gonna do this. He's not doing this. He's failing at doing it here. I'm somebody who could have fucking done it appropriately with him. He can't walk all over me, and he's still not letting it happen. I'm perfectly fine with that. I fucking hate that I have to invoke Pisco, but he just seems to be like one of the best examples of somebody who really holds Steven's feet to the fire and is just like constant disagreement with him when he does engage on his platform.
Has it changed his behavior once?
Has Pisco?
Yes. Has Pisco changed Destiny's behavior once? Has he altered the decision he's made with respect to any of the things that he's doing that have serious consequences that people have been complaining about? Has he been efficacious in any way?
Well, he's forced concessions out of him for sure. I would not. I compared him and Aaron earlier.
What's the
by no means
value?
are they on the same
Hang on
part.
though. What's
but
the value?
Let me finish the story.
But I want to
God
ask you.
Damn it.
Okay.
No.
One more
no,
question, then I'll
I
let you
need to
finish. I'll let you finish. One question.
No,
One
I
question.
need to finish.
One. Just one.
I need to finish.
Please.
I've let
One.
you insert many fucking
One.
questions. You will
Just
not.
one.
I
Little
will
one,
become a
itty
zombie
bitty.
mommy with you right now. I swear to fucking God.
Ooh.
Keep me on my good
I
side,
like
okay?
where this is going. Sorry, continue. I'm sorry, continue.
So the thing with Pisco,
That was a joke.
he had a similar thing with you here. Not so much where he turned into mean tweeting or anything like that. But he had a disagreement with Steven.
Okay.
And almost like a year later, he saw a moment, a current situation where Steven was actually contradictory. He
a
saw
year ago?
No, a year later. He saw
Years
that,
ago.
oh, wait, this is not. No.
It had to
I'm
be.
saying they had a conversation, they had a debate. It ended kind of resolved, kind of like maybe Steven was a little pushed over. And Pisco is a viewer, he's a person in the debate space, and a year later he sees a different situation coming up, but he sees an inconsistency in what Steven is saying and his takes on like terrorism or sarcastic terrorism. And Pisco hops on a fucking stream, hops on someone else's panel in the middle of a different fucking discourse and decides to lay Steven the fuck out over a debate that they had the year prior and turn it all into the fucking Pisco and Steven show. And it's just like it looks obsessive. And I think even DGG viewed it as obsessive. But most people are like fine with this because we understand that this is like how the content happens. Like I don't have a problem with your mean tweets if they are like turning into obsessive, so long as it doesn't become like some really personal vendetta, so long as it doesn't become like some I have to like end Steven, he's like a fascist and like do you understand what I mean?
But I
Like, the
have
tactics
to.
are
But
fine.
Chaeiry, I have to end Steven. God told me so. I have no choice. My hands are tied.
Oh, so what happened?
I
What
have
happened
to.
with God?
I have to end Steven. God told me so. The little voices in my head. I have no choice. I am his nemesis. I have been fated. We will fight at Ragnarok. This is just how it be.
Okay. So now you are who we're memeing, right? I'm actually scared of like hyper religious people.
Yes, we're memeing Chaeiry.
Okay.
Okay. She thinks I'm memeing. No, I'm memeing.
Listen, I think if you find yourself to be in a better position to do the wokeism debate, which it sounds like you are, like I think drop the emotional shit and like do it in a way that will actually make him engage with you.
Do I seem
You know what I
hyper
mean?
emotional about this? Do I like right now? Do I seem to
No,
you to be
okay,
hyper
so
emotional
in here
about this?
you don't seem hyper emotional, but like taking the girl that he just debated and invoking like bad faith and stuff like that and implying that debate bro is like
What if that's a
bad
fact?
term.
What if
Like,
that's true?
No, listen, just don't fucking do that, okay? Either be about this space, be about like debating and be like all for
This
the
space
fucking
is
tactics that you're
horrendously
doing
corrupt.
without fucking villainizing it.
Chaeiry, this space is
Either
horrendously.
you are about that life or you're
Chaeiry,
not, President Sunday. You can't just
I'm
pick and
not.
choose
I'm
to
not
garner
I'm not about.
outside support.
I don't know what you're referring to, but I'm not about that life. I have like a tremendous
Then
amount of
why do
disdain.
you keep pressing that he won't have a debate with you if you're not about that debate life?
Because in
giving
this,
you
because
examples
there
of
was a
people-
specific pointed purpose to that debate. He was peddling lies to justify toxic and dangerous behavior at a very wide level. So I was actually treating him with extraordinary charity. I said like, look, okay, let's pretend like all of the stuff we've dealt with in the past, like all of our interactions in the past, let's wipe the slate clean. Let's just address this productively. You say you can't deal with lefties, and this is why like you have to like branch out to like transphobes and anti-Semites and whatnot. How about this? Let's actually address this problem you're bringing up. And I'm a lefty. Let's actually work on it productively. Let's figure out the truth of the matter. Not even antagonistically. Let's both work at it from different angles and see if we can't get at the truth.
Yeah, for me,
His-
it doesn't
his
matter
preference-
if you do it kindly or if you do it
His preference,
antagonistically.
Chaeiry, his
That does not
preference,
matter to me.
his preference was to just run with a line that he hadn't verified. Because it was advantageous for him to do so politically, because it's smoother. Because if he's forced into a position where he has to commit to an absurdity, or he has to admit that there isn't a progressive orthodoxy forcing university professors off campus, then that puts him at odds in a serious way with a ton of the people that he is explicitly he is massively trying to integrate himself with.
Listen,
From a
I just
business
think that-
standpoint, what he's done with
No,
respect to me
don't say
was
business
really
standpoint
smart.
from a fucking multimillionaire. Don't do that.
What do you mean?
It's so stupid when
This is his language. This is literally his language. This is his business model. He said this explicitly. The advantage to engaging with people like Sneeko is that his channel grows massively. Just because you're a millionaire doesn't mean you don't value money. The difference between like $2 million and $20 million is
So
huge.
you're talking about political power then. You're not talking about money. You're
I'm
talking
talking about
his
both.
influence.
There is actually very little difference between the two.
Okay.
But mostly I'm talking about money. I think his primary motivation is money. I don't think
I don't think so. No shot.
I think at a certain number of shots you stop noticing it, but you're still getting poisoned.
No. I think it's because I have money that I understand that he'll be rich for the rest of his life, given the amount of money that he has. Maybe he's
This
not
is
in a
why
position
this
to
is
retire
why
yet.
this is why rich people never work and just kind of like hide in the country and become wizards reading books, right? Because
Who the fuck is hiding?
and you misunderstand me. I'm saying rich people continue to seek out money.
No, rich people are not happy because money doesn't buy happiness. And often they go a couple ways.
It helps.
Either they
It
are
helps a little
fortunate-
bit.
They are either fortunate enough to have made money and understood how to be happy, and they have
Sneak.
siblings
Look.
that have joy, or they don't know that they're miserable and they continue pushing for fucking money,
Well, maybe that's destiny.
thinking that that's the
Maybe
happiness.
that's Steve. Maybe he's miserable, and he's pushing for
Listen.
more money. He doesn't know what else to do with himself.
I
Like
just
I'm
insulting
satisfied.
people.
I'm
I feel
satisfied
like-
with I'm
I feel
satisfied
like
personally.
for people
Like
to
me,
understand,
hey, hang on. Like me, I'm weird,
Okay.
right? Like I'm satisfied with like $3,000, so I'm comfortable, and my books and an endless supply of coffee and my video games, and that's good for me. I'm not greedy. There are some people who cannot live without the hustle. It would drive them insane for whatever reason. Sometimes it's just that's their talent. Sometimes it's all they've done and they have nothing left. I don't know. Sometimes it's just the glamour of it all. But
I think that this is actually it's super insulting. And I don't know if you mean to be.
insulting of whom?
But I'm gonna try to humanize it for a second.
Or are you
You
insulting
take
me?
someone. No, I think you're being insulting to him.
That's fine. He'll live. So
Yeah, he will live, but I just want
Yeah.
you to understand the perspective that comes from maybe a community that is more in the know of his content. So you are taking a person and you're implying that all of their motives are for power or for money, and or maybe the fact that there's no difference between the two.
yeah,
Whereas
that's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay. And
Beautifully
he has
said.
demonstrated, I think, so often that he does what he does because he believes in it, and that he cares about the issues, or even wants to empathize with with
He's
people.
he's
and
literally gone out
with
of his way to
circumstances.
insist that Nick
So
Fuentes isn't a Nazi and Lawrence Southern has like sanitized her positions and is no longer like a white nationalist, anti-immigrant
listen,
nutbag.
just to get off the political stuff for a second, because I feel like
That's the stuff that matters.
we can
That's the stuff that really
yeah,
matters.
it's the stuff that matters. We'll get right the fuck back onto it, but it's the stuff that causes people to be very polarized in how they will look at an individual. So
W-
sometimes you do need to talk about something that is off politics to humanize the individual, that you just see a political
Being
division
corrupt is a
between you and
very
them.
human quality, and I don't think it's rich
Please
people
let
alone
me
who do that.
Okay, so the reason that I view and that I do take Stephen as very good faith in most of his political takes and whatever his political advocacy is in his debates, I would say is his gym shit.
Is what?
I think he's been pushed to understand the importance of being healthy, of taking care of your body, and of not being somebody who just sits on their ass all day and does nothing. I think this gives him a deeper experience, and a deeper understanding of struggles. And I think he has done that very publicly. And for him to, he has not gotten any more fit doing what he's doing, but he's gone very public talking about it, very public about his goals. He is very much a fucking flawed human being in front of everybody. And you don't do that because you're looking for money or power, okay? You do that because you're kind of
Oh,
an authentic person doing authentic goals in front of
Chaeiry,
people.
you might do that if a major part of your appeal as a media figure is just the casual vibes of just sort of
There is
chilling
no
in front of
casual
your
vibes.
in front of
There's
your
no casual
What are you
vibes
talking about? He spends like 5 hours a day playing
of his
Factorious
gym
going,
streams.
of his gym.
There are no casual vibes of his gym
No,
streams.
but
That's
what-
not a casual
but his
thing.
gym
That's
stream-
very much
okay, but
putting
Chaeiry,
yourself out there and
Chaeiry,
allowing other people to feel
Chaeiry,
like they're ready to take that
Chaeiry,
next step because you have publicly done it
Chaeiry,
with
what
them.
you are describing is him monetizing his rec time.
His what?
He has found a way to monetize his recreational time. So when he exercises, that's no longer at a loss or at a cost to him because he's now making money doing that. That's why he does it.
He literally ends his stream and cucks his content so he can go to the gym. How is that
You were just talking
anything?
about gym streams.
So he can go, yeah, so no, he's only done a few gym streams because they are actually that fucking awful. But yeah,
Okay.
he's cucked his own content to go to the gym, something he doesn't even consistently do, and honestly is showing almost no results for.
Why would
I'm so sorry,
him
Steven.
hang on. Okay, fine. I disagree. I think he's actually buffing up a little bit, but
He's not buffing up. He's
he's not scrawny. Look at his older pictures. He was a scrawny kid. He's thickened up. He's got more
okay, so
robust
he's
now.
getting fat in front of us.
That's mean.
It
Anyways,
is mean, but that's what I'm saying to you is you're viewing the worst in him, where I think most people, especially his own audience,
Okay,
that you are kind
listen,
of villainizing.
I understand.
For,
Listen.
for supporting
Okay,
him. Most
Chaeiry,
people see him for like the
Chaeiry,
authentic human that he
Chaeiry,
is.
I understand what you're trying to do, but
Is it
I'm
working at all for you? I'll stop
I'm sorry.
now,
Okay,
but
but hang on. No,
are you at
no,
least
no.
taking me in
Wait.
good faith as I'm doing
Yes,
it?
I am. I'm just trying to
Okay.
explain that telling me that, hey, on the side Destiny lifts isn't a compelling counter to why he's cynically engaging with political actors who are benefiting them when they are doing everything in their power to undercut the stuff he used to claim he was fighting for in the past. Like, it's just like, hey, but he does ballet. Like,
Wait, what
good
stuff
for
does he
him.
claim he fought for that he doesn't anymore?
He used to debate people like this constantly on the grounds that they were extremely toxic politically. Now all of a sudden he's bringing them on, not to debate them anymore, which would be unnecessary at worst if that's what he was doing. But he's bringing them on just to game with them and to chill with them, to make them seem appealing, to allow them to sell themselves and their own natural charisma when they were already beaten on their toxic politics. Like, he's actually giving them an out from losing in the arena of ideas, just to be as chill as he is. It's
So
a
I think
it's a really bad thing.
Like, I understand why you get there, but I think that there are assumptions that you're getting to when you get there. There's a lot of people who thought that the press that Trump got before his first election meant that he was defeated. Nobody had to take him seriously. That wasn't the case. Just because you and your bubble have completely written off
We aren't
a
talking about
political
negative.
pundit
We aren't
does
talking
not
about.
mean
No, hang on. We aren't talking about negative press. What we're talking about here is literally just him going out
no.
on
When
dinner
you
dates
talk
with them.
about Lauren Southern and Fuentes, you're talking about negative press. Come on, these are not.
No.
Facebook-friendly
The critique.
streamers.
The
These are
critique.
very.
Hang on. The critique isn't negative press. The critique is explicitly positive press. And no, positive press did not hurt Trump's chances.
No, you are saying that these people have already got the negative press, and so they weren't a threat. That's what you said.
No. They were a threat, but they were less of a threat. And the moves that Steve is making can only have the upshot of making them more of a threat.
And I think that that's a guess that you're making. And I think it's fair. And I think people should be able to criticize in that way and make those challenges. But I don't think he's talked about this issue so many times. I don't think you've maybe cared or even believed any of the arguments that he made.
Sorry, you lost me for a second there. Can you say that again?
So when we talk about platforming, I think there are valid questions, criticisms.
Oh, I'm not talking
and
about platforming.
concerns.
I'm not talking about platforming.
That is absolutely what you're talking
No,
about.
I'm being very specific. I actually said that there's a kind of platforming I'm perfectly
The
fine
type
with.
of platforming is different. You're concerned about platforming Lauren Southern to play League of Legends, but it's still just the fact that he's doing it right on his platform.
No, it's not, because having her on to debate a political issue that doesn't allow her to just seem charming and appealing to a bunch of people who will then donate her money afterwards once they sign up to her channel. That's different from those are two very different things. One is only to her benefit. One has the possibility of actually like holding her to account for some of her bad reasoning and the toxic ideas she sells.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Do you think that it's good in retelling history that Hitler is painted as an evil person?
I mean, depends in what respect and in what kind of discourse we're talking about. If we're talking about sort of as
Do you
part of
think
like
that there is a
hang on, I'm
possible
answering your
harm?
question.
Okay.
I'm answering your question. Ethically, I think it's good that the average person considers that position that he took on and the political moves that he made and the things that he fought for are evil. I think that's a good thing. If we're talking about analyzing like from the historian standpoint or from like the political scientist standpoint or whatever, like the internal mechanisms and the motivating factors and historical dynamics that led to the Nazis being a thing, him being evil doesn't help. But these are
right?
both in their. Well, not even necessarily, because I maintain that he's evil, but I don't think that's useful. Well, no.
To replicate, right?
I don't think anybody thinks it's impossible to replicate. I think one of the reasons. Well, no, hang on.
We end up in a situation where we can repeat history if we paint history in a way that seems almost fantastical.
I don't know why we would think that necessarily, but in terms of him being evil, like you can hold a moral judgment of a person, a very strong one, and still analyze it carefully and seriously and soberly. Like, I think, for example, Jeffrey Dahmer was, in every sense that matters, a very evil person. Yet I can still understand, like, a psychological profile of the guy that doesn't make reference to, like, the moral status of what he did. These aren't contradictory. They're just different modes of viewing a thing.
Yes, okay, but we've all fucking watched Netflix, so at this point
I haven't. Apparently this is a thing we need to mine again.
People don't just retell the situation of Jeffrey Dahmer as, oh, this was an evil dude who fucking mass murdered people and ate their
no, sometimes they do it to go, hey, isn't this all really cool and fascinating? Isn't this all sort of glamorous and interesting? There's something so kind of spooky and interesting about what's going on here. We have a whole genre of film about this. People unironically think the main character from Breaking Bad is like this heroic maverick. People think the same thing, or thought the same thing until fairly recently, about the main character from like House of Cards or House or whatever. Like people find like if you make a character appealing, he's no longer viewed as someone not to imitate. He's viewed as someone to try and imitate. Even it's cool. One of the reasons why Hitler's been so effectively pilloried is because he wasn't just portrayed as evil. He was portrayed as depraved and insane, which at a certain level, like the Nazis were. Continue. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm a reader of Nazis. Like I'm fairly intimately familiar with the thought process.
So I think that a harm that many see is viewing someone as larger than life, and
I don't
and
think
sort
somebody
of
being evil
painting.
is larger than life. In fact, I think a lot of the time he's portrayed as evil in a very banal way. Now, William L. Shirer, I don't know if you're familiar with his Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. He like obsesses over like weird things, like a conservative today might, where it's like, oh, the Nazis were all homosexuals and perverts and whatever, and that's not particularly helpful. But you can absolutely
I'm just
identify.
gonna eat until you are ready for me to talk.
Go for it. I think it's perfectly reasonable to identify vicious traits in a person and to speak plainly about, or even just to like reference those things in a general sense. Like, yeah, the Nazis were evil. It doesn't make them larger than life. They gave into impulses that all human beings have in a really dark situation, and we need to be really careful that we don't fall for some of those same things, so we do something similar. There's nothing about that that's larger than life. That's unfortunately, life is actually very large. Boring ass uninteresting people can do really fucking terrible things. That's the whole banality of evil thing. I don't necessarily agree with Hannah Arendt on much, but like, I just don't know where we were going with this.
Because I haven't finished anything, President Sunday.
What is that, by the way?
What?
What are you eating?
Waffles. With
Oh.
a lot of cinnamon on top. It's been a long time since I heard his arguments for what he's doing or what he's hoping to do. And
Well,
I don't know if everyone.
Go on.
I think that it's worth considering that his goals are coming from a good place, and if you have criticism, it's understandable, and I think even he allows it, listens to it. Now, how the days are and how he feels on the Reddit, like, I don't fucking know, okay? People are fucking people. I don't fucking want to do that where I tell him, you have to keep every fucking message up on your Reddit. I don't fucking care about his Reddit. Maybe I need to start caring. I don't know. Either way,
Well, you care a lot about
I'm
my
just
Twitter.
I am not for painting him as a bad faith actor. I think that people can have bad tactics in a debate, but I generally
But that's bad faith.
expect
That's bad
I
faith.
expect people to do what they can do to make their arguments. I expect that out of a debate.
Okay, but
And
if
I
he's
don't know any other debader who doesn't expect that. It's infuriating,
okay, well,
sure.
maybe you need to diversify your friend group a little bit because there are people who have standards, and if he's like cheating and
But I think maybe you're
if he's
thinking
being
of standards for a
dishonest,
conversation, not a debate.
both actually, you can be bad faith in both, and being bad faith, especially when you're representing a bad position against a true position, that's a really bad fucking thing.
Well,
Now,
see,
since we've
now
established,
you're already loading it.
no,
How do I know
I'm
that
not.
his
I'm not.
position
You've
is
literally,
bad?
Chaeiry, you've literally just said that you expect this from him. So what we're
No,
at
I
this
expect
point.
it from anybody who debates.
Fine, but that includes him definitionally. So what we're at this point
Okay.
is that even if you can identify proof positive that he is bad faith, you will not call him bad faith, and I can't help but wonder why.
So here's my thing. There's something that people use to get to be heard, to be understood, that is considered bad faith, and it's called manipulation.
Okay.
And this tactic is used not just by abusers, but by victims.
Mm-hmm.
Victims use manipulation to be understood. So like the term bad faith, it already has like negative connotations because bad's in there.
Is Destiny a victim? Is that where we're going with this?
No, what I'm going with is these tactics, the way that people win arguments, and the taste that it puts in our mouth to know that it's happening. These are like, this just natural, and it's going to happen. And I think we will read it the worst possible way when it's from somebody opposing us. and we will read it the worst possible way as an audience when the person explaining it to us is telling us it's happening from the person with the wrong idea, with the bad idea. But the rest of the audience doesn't even fucking know. Like
Okay, well,
me,
how about
like,
this?
I haven't watched the wokeism debate yet,
Okay,
okay?
fine, sure,
And you're
fair.
just telling me he has the wrong idea.
Fine, I'll let
And
you
I'm
watch
just
it.
like, how
But
can I come to that conclusion?
by watching the debate. But
Yes,
how about
I
how about
will.
this? How about this? What if hypothetically then you just made you made a leap of faith and you told the person, hey, let's put the past behind us. Let's try to work collaboratively on a thing, and let's not debate it. Let's try to investigate this thing together, and we'll figure out the truth of the matter between our two different positions on this issue. Would that be bad faith?
I don't think it would be bad faith, but I would say
You actually have caveats about that,
it's not caveats. It's
or reservations,
I've
or
had
whatever.
this happen to me where people want to like draft me in on their mission. And it's like I want to support you, but like also like can you do it on your own and just like talk to me when you get to the answer? Like I don't have the same ambitions as you, even though I want to be supportive and encourage you.
Well, no. He
Does
said
that make sense?
he had his community do the work to find it all. He
So
started that.
he's done that. He's done that for me as well. I used to do like lore streams, and in the beginning, I asked for his permission to use his VODs, and I would ask him a question or two, at which point he would be like, "Hey, you can just like go into my community. Like they know like almost everything." It's sort of like instead of interrogating him, instead of him being the person who answers all of your questions, there is like a whole chat of people who watch his content, who like to talk to him, who could probably answer the simple questions for you rather than wait on him when he can eventually like respond to you. Do you understand?
We're talking about seconds ago about like casting people as larger than life. I don't know why you treat this one person in particular as a god who should not be expected to deign to
I'm not calling
follow
him a
through on his
god.
word.
I'm trying to explain to you why
No,
he would maybe direct
Chaeiry,
someone to his
Chaeiry,
audience
Chaeiry,
over
Chaeiry,
him.
Chaeiry. What I don't understand is why you think it is beneath this person to be held to his word.
Oh, I'm not saying it's beneath him. I told you, I understand if you went into mean tweet after 3 months. I think I already said that, no?
But why are we even entertaining a defense of this at this point? We are literally dealing with somebody who is bad faith and a liar. That's all. That's literally where we've settled, and the only defense that I'm seeing so far is that you think it's typical.
I don't take him as bad faith, I'll be honest. I don't take him as bad faith.
Why?
I think it's been really obvious that he is dodging you. I would agree with that. He's not entertaining a conversation with you. I hope in the future he does. I think that would be interesting to watch. I don't know what the lying part is about. I think you throw shade at him and he throws shade back at you.
When you make an agreement and then you don't follow through, then the agreement that you made, that was a lie. In addition, and here's a subtler one. Here's a subtler one. This is separate from this. When you say, I cannot speak to an entire half, roughly, of the political population, just a blanket statement like that, because of the overwhelming number of people that they have gotten fired from universities, and then you lay bare on stream when you go to do your research that you actually had none of this evidence to hand and you hadn't even looked at it yet. That means that the implication of that first statement, that was evidence that you were using to justify your move, that was a lie.
Okay, so get him. Like I don't think you understand
That's
that.
that's a long process when the person is fleeing from you. I am in the middle of it.
Understand, and I showed a situation with somebody who maybe didn't attack him so insistently, but was very persistent in his like journey of making Steven see where he contradicted himself in Pisco. So I'm saying like I don't mind like a long fucking what would you call it? Not a quarrel.
Not what? Quarrel?
You guys don't have a quarrel.
We have several quarrels, I
feud?
think. No, it's not a
Can I
feud.
call this a feud?
It's not a feud. It's very simple. This is one bad actor who happens to be in my sphere
No,
that
can
I'm
you just do
engaging
a
with
fucking, just give me
antagonistically.
one word for it without bad
Titanomachy.
actor. No,
Uh,
that's not a word I'm gonna recognize.
Duel, like that one. Just a duel of wits.
A duel. Okay, you've got a really long fucking duel.
Yeah.
I think
That's
a lot of
cool.
people will like make you feel ashamed for doing it. I don't think you should feel ashamed.
Oh,
I don't think
you are
should.
very mistaken. Nobody makes me ashamed of it.
No, they're trying to. So don't
They are trying.
pretend like they're not
They're trying
to.
very hard, and they should continue.
Yeah. So I don't think you should be ashamed. I personally don't agree with you or support your your what word did we just agree on?
Duel.
Duel. Okay. I think that you're maybe a little biased. You're loading it a little in one direction. You're seeing the worst in him, and maybe your personal experience with him and being ghosted has painted it that way. I'm okay with that. But I do think that I hope
I think he is
as
damn
you
good at Factorio.
I'm not even convinced he's really playing a game there. I don't know what's happening. As
I
far
mean,
as
I don't think
deletes
he's
and
sitting
puts
there
down.
doing this constantly with nothing going on the screen. That'd be a little strange.
I'm not convinced he's doing anything.
You think
that
he's
game
just
looks
hunched
dumb.
over doing nothing?
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's like deleting shit and just putting it back down. What has he been doing for months on that shit? I don't know.
You were calling me uncharitable.
Yeah, I'll be uncharitable with video games and shit. I don't care. But yeah, I think that my advice, my new move is maybe don't attack every fucking person in his orbit. Don't assume that because somebody's a liberal that it means that they're a
But the
fucking
people in his orbit are
fascist or
so
a conservative.
dumb. They're so
Please
dumb. They're the
drop
worst. They're awful
please
people.
drop any personal life people, even if
Awful.
you feel like it supports a fucking argument
They're
moving forward. Like, just
awful,
don't do
though.
that.
They're awful. They're
I'm
awful
a liberal,
people. They're the
so
worst.
please. I'm a liberal.
I
So.
didn't say liberals. I said those people that hang around him like flies. They're the absolute fucking worst. They're the worst
Like,
people imaginable.
I'm one of those people. You know that, right?
Nah, you're not. You're one of the good. We'll fix you. Don't worry.
No, you won't.
She thinks we won't.
I'm his #1 fan.
You ever see the Batman Beyond movie?
Batman Beyond?
Yeah.
Hold on. I have headphones. Keep talking. No. Wait, which one?
So after like the Batman animated series, there was a futuristic one where I can't forget what his name is, but some like punk kid or whatever sneaks into his lair and he encounters an elderly Bruce Wayne who trains him in the ninja skills he learned in the mountains or whatever. And he just becomes the new Batman in this futuristic cyberpunk world. It's actually really cool. But there's a movie afterwards where the Joker comes back. He's somebody has like his mind loaded up into like a weird device that he then plugs into the elderly Robin's neck, which turns him into the Joker again. So the Joker is resurrected. At the end of it, we learn that Harley Quinn actually does reform, and she's a very good person by the end of it.
Oh,
Takes a long time, decades. She's elderly by that point, but she is safe.
Are you implying? Oh, you're saying like he's the Joker, I'm Harley Quinn, and I think I'm part of it, but like later on, I'm gonna have.
No,
a
God,
redemption
no,
arc
no, no, no,
outside
no,
of
no,
him?
no, no. I'm elderly Bruce Wayne, and I'm going to train you to be the new Batman.
Wait, I'm gonna be the new Batman. Am
Don't
I
worry,
Harley Quinn?
it's sorry, we're going into
Just
like
tell me who
really
the fuck
classical.
was I in this situation?
There's this really big bruiser guy who works for the new Joker.
Really big? Did
like
you just call me fat?
no, muscular.
Okay.
He's
I
like super
understand.
lean.
Go on.
Yeah. And he like
Mhm.
pilots the hover carrier that the new Joker's crew flies around. Yeah, you're either that one or maybe Oracle. I can't remember if she's in that, but yeah.
I don't like superhero shit. I think they all suck. And I only follow it so I can dress up like slutty versions of them.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. I'm a sellout.
I guess slutty Batman is a thing. Although I think that's Batgirl.
No, actually I think I don't know if it's tomorrow or the day after I'm gonna be a slutty Joker. I like doing the gender benders. It's a lot less expectation for cleavage.
I tried to remember if there was a gender bent Joker canonical. I'm sure there must have been at some point. I guess Harley Quinn was basically that, but it's not the same.
Okay. Listen, you know that we had a conversation before I looked at anything of yours. I think I've tried to watch stuff of yours, and this is where one of my big like criticisms is of you. Too many big words. Too many big words. Also too many words. They're big and there's too many of them happening.
But I like big words.
It just what is your goal when you create content, if I can ask? This is a question I've always wanted to ask Vosh, but he won't entertain a conversation with me.
To look really, really smart and to show off my books.
So is it for pseudo-intellectualism?
Yes.
No, don't meme with me, okay? Because that's like me admitting that I'm only on the internet to steal money from people or something. Like, come on, you have a goal. Just like be honest.
I guess it's just more of an activity. I like researching these kinds of things.
It's just like fun. Just like
No, it's just multifaceted. Like I started off.
Do you know who Brittany Simon is?
Yeah, she's a level 2. I think she's level 5.
She likes to do this on the internet because she likes to be challenged on ideas or like bounce ideas off of people. It's like thought provoking. Would you say you're similar to that without the bubbles or anything like that? Just like the goal wise.
Sometimes, not really. I think mostly I like to make like political theory concepts or whatever sort of accessible and kind of like interject some of that stuff into like, you know, like salient debates or whatever that might be useful from my perspective. Sometimes, rarely I argue with people, or like I typically like address people argumentatively in essays first, because I find I can lay out my thoughts more clearly that way, or at least more like systematically. Apparently, it's not clear to everybody. That's fine. I mean, it's multifaceted. Like sometimes I'm concerned with like addressing what I think are bad arguments, sort of in my discipline. Sometimes like calling out unethical behavior, things like that.
What is your discipline?
Political science.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I won't keep you much longer.
No, I've got nothing going on tomorrow except I think I'm talking to Mr. Oh fuck, I'm co-hosting with Mr. Girl. Oh god damn.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Mr. Girl Hotline with Prezi Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is my qualm with people who make content that I feel like I can't understand, because I think I'm super fucking normal. I think my vocabulary is very fucking normal, very fucking basic. And I think my attention span
I think you're very well spoken, actually. Continue. Sorry.
Thank you. I think my attention span is probably for politics even past what normal people would be interested in. So if I lose interest, I'm assuming that all of the normal people I know are already checked the fuck out. So when I do engage with somebody, maybe similar to you, my biggest issue was Vosh, but he won't entertain a conversation with me. And recently, Mr. Girl, what is the goal of these conversations, of this effort, of making this content, if it's not to be understood by like people like me?
Well, one thing that's kind of interesting that you might not be aware of is that there are actually a lot of people who are interested in the stuff that I'm interested in at like a certain level. Not to be like elitist about it or anything. But they pay very well.
That's fine.
They pay very well patron-wise, so it is actually sustainable. I'm able to do this full-time as a job because I do actually get a lot of support for it.
So that's why I ask you what your goal is, because then.
Well, like, the goal is to make that stuff for its own sake. I just happen to do it well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so for you, it is sort of like being and your whole bag is like in intellectualism. It's not so much to reach like a normal person. It's not so much to reach like a broad audience or to move people on what you believe is like
Sometimes that's like
if
I
it's an
guess
added bonus, it's an added bonus, but that's not like this what
I
you set out to
treat
do
when
you
I
read.
get into like debates with people or I engage in like stuff that people call drama or whatever, like I have ethical disputes, like the Chud Logic thing, for instance. That's like an
Okay.
excursion from what my channel's about. That's a thing I'm
Yeah.
detouring from. But what my channel is
Completely
actually
understand.
about, or what I try to do, is that.
Okay, yeah. That we're just talking about your main content right now, never engaging in like the drama
Well, main
politics
numerically
debate.
is always going to be streams because they're easier to put out and it takes me months to make video essays. But yeah.
Okay. Because I think like when I look at Bosch and when I see the stuff that he says, which is to explain to people what he thinks is happening, or to advertise to people like how they should be voting and stuff like that. Like a lot of what he says he's aiming to do with his content, he paints it as if it's not like intellectualism, as if it is for like a broad movement. But it's almost undigestible to like my ears and shit like that, or to my attention span. So I was just curious if you
I
were
mean, he
in that
kind
same
of
bag.
if I was in no, because I think the thing with Vosh is that I don't think he does this on purpose, but I think he's sort of like half integrated some like really complex terms, and he.
Yeah, I think he's even acknowledged that it's a bad habit that he has, and I maybe even trying to pull away from it. But
I'm not even sure it's a habit, because like the reason why I use like a lot of like really highly specific terminology in a lot of cases is because like that allows me to navigate thoughts more efficiently for me.
Okay.
Like I use those words because they come to hand as like do you game at all?
Yeah.
Have you played BioShock?
Oh no, I like it's only League of Legends. I'm sorry, I'm the worst type of gamer.
Do you play board games at all?
Not like Catan or anything like that. Like
So you've
or
never played Zombies by chance?
no.
All right. Anyways, I'm not using the technical language to sound smart. I'm using the technical language because I'm trying to say stuff that's really, really specific, and it helps me do that. And
Okay.
and I'd rather say something that I can then defend afterwards by clarifying than say something that's obscuring because it's simple enough for an audience that isn't familiar with the issue to understand immediately. So that's
Okay.
my philosophy with that. The problem with Vosh is that he's half integrated a lot of these terms, so he isn't using them with that level of specificity, and he's just kind of peppering them out sort of incorrectly, and it's really confusing because it's like.
Have you ever talked to
Why?
him about that as somebody who does use very flowery language?
Not really, because there's not a whole lot you can do except for just personally, like, go out of your way to learn the meanings of them and be like just practice. Like a big part of how I learned to write and argue is like when I'm reading stuff, I'll pay attention to like the sentence structure. I'll think, okay, if I'm translating this to speech, how can I simplify this? And I'll like rework it, and I do that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
All of
Also,
my like
even
when
though
all of my books when I study them. So I'm like going through Carl Schmitt's constitutional theory at the moment. One of my note taking strategies is I basically summarize the text in the margins. So I've rewritten almost everything that I've read in simpler terms, and that
also
helps a lot.
just because chat is curious, I
Yeah.
don't play BioShock, but they would like to know what your point was going to be.
Oh, with BioShock? Oh, I
Yeah.
just like in terms of
Like what word, I guess you were going
well,
to use
in the
to explain.
BioShock hacking minigame, the way it works is there's like it's like a maze, and there's a I guess a beginning nozzle and an end nozzle where water's coming through, and you have to very quickly rearrange pipe configurations to make the water go from one side to the correct opening at the end. And
Okay.
it is more difficult when you have less variety of pipe shapes than when you have more. So how it feels like when I'm speaking is like I'm finding my way to a thing, and having like a really specific and like highly specified terminology. I guess that's redundant. I said the same thing twice. But having like a really specified terminology really helps me like sort of maneuver in language when I'm trying to make a point or describe a thing. And sometimes it makes me like it just goes awry. Like I'm not really good at it, but it does help me, and I do it for like a practical reason. It's not just trying to sound smart. It is actually just how I talk and how I think. So
I believe you. My husband, pretty brilliant man. I love to force him to talk tech with me, and then end up like pulling fucking teeth trying to make him make it make sense, because he ends up just using words that I don't fucking know. because it's just.
Well, I mean, he
easier.
probably does something similar
like,
when
how it
he's
comes out.
coding, right? So like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I completely get it. I just didn't. I think similar to what you were saying. When I do take like a clip of what Vosh said and maybe pass it along to a friend I think knows better than me or is more aware than me, the feedback that I normally get is that he's not even using words correctly. So
well, I mean,
that's why
so
I'm just like,
does. I
what's
mean, so
going on?
that's across the board though. Like for example, one thing that really bugged me is like you saw that like are you mad? Are you mad? Are you mad? Thing between Demon Mama and Destiny.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
that
yeah.
moment.
Oh yeah, I did too. It was funny, but back when that was happening, there was a part where they were like really there was a really confused exchange in which he at near the end of it he was asking her a bunch of like questions. Like he said, okay, if you answer like 3 of my questions, I'll let you answer 10 of mine. Now he bullshitted that, of course, because he hung up on her as soon as she answered the questions. But going back to that, the first question was like, do you agree that men are more domineering in sports than women? And Demon Mama was confused, and for good reason, because domineering doesn't mean stronger. Domineering means having like a tyrannical and controlling attitude or bearing. So it was like, literally just learn basic English at that point and stop trying to like it's frustrating. Like a lot of these people, and here's the thing, right? Like one of the ways in which you learn.
And Sunday, I'm going to stop you right the fuck there because
Yeah.
I do believe that you know the appropriate criticism of Steven in that moment. There's not one fucking inch of me that thinks that Demon Mama stopped in her tracks and was like, huh? Because she knew what the word domineering meant and knew that Destiny was applying it incorrectly. Just do not. I don't like when people do that. When in the aftermath, they give the person
No, no,
like
no, no, no,
the
not she stopped and was like, huh, but like for a second she was kind of lost, and she did because when he clarified, when she like said, do you mean like strength? She said, yeah, strength, domineering. He said, yeah, sure. She was it was an incorrect word that confused the meaning of the sentence. Like domineering has connotations that are like deep and emotional, not dominant, which I guess it does too, but it's in a different way. Domineering is like when you have like a husband who like hides the car keys and doesn't and like turns off the internet when you have disagreements or whatever. That's sort of domineering.
Okay.
Dominant would be they take charge when there's an emergency or something. You know?
Okay. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm very much go back and see like the faults in Destiny and his debates, but I don't do it in a way where I'm like, oh yeah, the opposite person saw this exact fucking thing and that's why they were hung up. That's not usually
No, I
accurate.
think that's reasonable because she had to ask for clarification. She got clarification and she responded in good faith afterwards. That's what would happen in that case. Anyways, point is, there's a lot of really bad language use and a lot of really sloppy use of terms in this
across
sphere,
the
just
board.
across the board. So, I mean, I'm gonna talk to Vosh. I mean, first of all, Vosh wouldn't listen to me, and he wouldn't listen to anyone on that. Secondly, like, why would I start there? He's not the worst offender by any stretch.
Okay. Maybe.
Have you watched Rings of Power yet? Nobody wants to talk
Have I
about it.
watched what?
Rings of Power yet?
No, I
Oh.
started a show called The Watcher on
The
Netflix.
Watcher. What's that about?
Yeah, it's like a haunted house.
Okay.
That's kind of like changing the way that people act inside of it. I can't tell if like the house is haunted, if somebody one
It's
of
like
the
a
neighbors is
psychological
fucking with
experiment or
them.
something, or oh, I see.
It's like a psychological thriller, not so much of an experiment. I can't tell. I'm like only halfway through.
Hmm.
It's super interesting. I'm very much of a thriller person. I don't care about the fantasy like Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones shit.
How about like horror?
You like horror?
I love horror. Horror is my favorite genre.
I don't like horror without like the thriller aspect of it.
Oh, I agree. But like, I like one of my favorite genres is sci-fi horror because it's generally like very clever and it tries to, it's not
Mhm.
just about like throwing spooky stuff at the camera. There's like it's a mystery with high stakes. That kind
Yeah.
of thing. Yeah. Kingdom. It's really good. It's a Korean series that's on Netflix, but it's basically a zombie plague, but mixed in with sort of Game of Thrones politics. But what's interesting is that it's investigated using basically period medicine and like Renaissance Korea. It's really interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
I will check it out.
And it's well acted too, and it's
Um,
surprisingly not depressing. Like it's heavy, but it's not miserable. It's got some funny bits.
Okay, Sunday. I've put your feet to the fire a bit. I think I tried to be as charitable as possible. Have a nice conversation from the go. Um, what do you have for me? What you got to say?
How much of your desk is backdrop and how much of it is actual desk?
What do you mean?
Well, you've got like I don't think you lit all those candles before the stream started. So like
Oh,
how much of the background am I looking at is real and how much of that is a green screen?
this is all real, but
Really?
this is a remote controlled fake candles.
Oh, cool. I thought somebody said it was green screen last time.
People think it's green screen. Sometimes I have like an RGB light behind me that
Hmm.
it reflects off of the gold on the walls like really perfectly, and it'll like just be different colors. So it can look fake, but it's all very real.
Um, I've seen little inklings, uh, since you asked, of
Hmm.
you've had some like sore spots in your interactions with Destiny personally and with that community generally. What
Oh,
if you could
okay.
elucidate that a little bit? I'm a little bit curious. I haven't looked into it.
Um, well, sore spots, how?
Apparently, you were like sad posting a little while ago on Twitter. There was some talking about that. I was looking into
Okay.
the stuff that was going on at Stardust and Mr. Girl and you afterwards or before. I can't remember the order. I
All
think I
right.
think
Well,
you were
cherry sad
before.
posting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
So
kind
the
of thing.
cherry
Yeah.
sad posting, the infuriating part.
Uh-huh.
Um, like there's this sort of implication that was made that the only reason Steven would agree with me, um, or even be aligned with my point of view is because he's in fear of another Twitlonger coming out. Which
Another
for
twit
me is just
longer.
like insulting, as if like I can't say something that's correct on its own and would demand that he agree to it or something like that. Um, but yeah, there was a time I'm flirty with Steven, and I we entertained hanging out, and then his life happened and we didn't hang out, and I'm just like I'm really dramatic and too emotional, and so I didn't take it well.
If
And
this
then
is
I did
upsetting you, you don't
shrooms.
need to relitigate
No, no, I'm
this.
not upset.
Okay.
I'm not upset. I didn't take it well, and I did shrooms, and then I got super emotional, and I mean, there was other stuff. There were reasons why I wanted to go hang out. I wanted to like get away for a while. And so it just felt like there were several disappointments happening in my life at that time. I did shrooms, and then I just got like a sad girl posted. And what was like fucking I think it was like a 4 paragraph twit longer. There was like 3 sentences about Steven. Um so it's really like revised history to say like, oh, she did a twit longer on Steven. He was just like a part of it.
I see.
Um, because I was just like, yeah, sad girl. I get emotional.
What's it like being on
I've had
shrooms?
a hell of a year. What's up?
What's it like being on shrooms?
Oh my god. Trippy. um, music is amazing. I listened to
You know,
a playlist.
they said that about marijuana, but I'm not affected, so
I don't like marijuana.
disappointing.
Weed makes me nauseous. Shrooms is kind of, I think it's like a better high than weed, like without the nausea. It just, for me, it provokes a lot of emotion. I've been taking shrooms to try to get past my PTSD.
Mm.
Um, I don't think I'm there yet. It's still just it takes like I get very emotional on shrooms still.
Is it helping?
Um, I feel like I've been a lot better,
That's good.
but I can't understand why. I won't say that I've had like an aha moment or like what is it called? Like an ego death? I haven't had that shit.
Hmm. Uh, well, I'm talking to Mr. Girl tomorrow, so what went down with that? You want to talk about that at all? Unless you're
I
tired of
had
it.
a I had what I thought was a very successful debate that ended with me knowing that I was being mind fucked, almost prepared for being mind fucked, still being very angry and upset that it happened, and I know better than to keep going when I'm like in that state.
What were you?
So I did end up.
Oh, sorry, go on.
Hmm?
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. So after I streamed with him, I still ended up on going and having a stream myself afterwards, talking to another streamer, sort of doing like what Aaron did with you, which is like go over the situation, but except I'm like a lot more heated, I'm a lot more fiery at the mouth. And after that, I like reviewed the debate. So I think by like 10 hours after the stream, I was
Hmm.
still up and like I wouldn't say like I completely realized what I was doing, but I was jumping to conclusions that uh I couldn't support, and I was like at a point where I couldn't even like recall, but I was still like really just very much in my feelings about it and just going off like a vibe that I had for the moment.
Are you able to
And
are you able to elaborate on that a little bit?
I don't want to make the claims again. I think they were irresponsible, and I think like the best way that I can retell the story is just like pointing out like how I knew better than to do like those things, why they were wrong, um,
Well,
and the
maybe
obvious harm that I could have caused and probably did cause.
maybe I could ask you an adjacent question.
Uh-huh.
When you say you couldn't support them, was this because of a dearth of evidence, or was this because you're not clear that what happened, that what you perceived at the time happened, had happened?
Um, I think it. I think because I was triggered, that it's both.
Do you think you were triggered by something that fits the description of what you claimed, or were you triggered by something else that may have affected your perception? Is that
I mean, okay, so the two claims that like absolutely cannot be backed, the being flashed or pubes or whatever in the
yeah?
pants being pulled down, like those two things, like I would never defend those. They were completely irresponsible to say, even given like my current like feeling of my memory about the situation. Uh, and I think viewing that entire debate as sort of like a malicious an engagement with him, um, is kind of what pulled me in that direction. And that's like I'm not gonna say that I make myself look at Mr. Girl like he's untrustworthy or like a bad faith communicator. And I'm not putting all of the weight on myself for that regard, but the way that I handled it afterwards, being someone who has interacted with this content, prepared for that content, and even knows myself when I get upset, like I just I know that like that's on me.
What I'm sort of fishing for here is, in your judgment, are you convinced to yourself? And I understand, and I'm not asking you to, like, you shouldn't be read as, uh, again, backtracking you rescinding the claim initially. Um,
I
but
have backtracked the claim
you
though.
have, and so what I'm saying though is that
Yeah.
you shouldn't be seen as reversing this by discussing this.
Yeah,
Just to
correct.
be, yeah. What I'm asking you though is, the thing you made a claim about. Do you actually believe personally that your experience, whether or not your experience was true and could have been colored by any number of things, do you actually think your experience was not of what you claimed? I'm trying to think if there's a better way to phrase that that doesn't stick you with something. Um, do you
Yeah, I
think?
think
Do
it's
you
not
think? Do
what
you
I
think you
claimed.
were? Do you think you were actually delusional in that case, or and are you just or are you
Um,
just unsure at this point?
I think it's
There's an unfortunate way of phrasing it, but yeah.
I think what I was looking back and seeing the worst in a situation. Um,
What I'm asking is what you
Somebody
were you
stretching and I just assumed the worst nature of what happened and what I saw.
sure, okay, but regardless of how we characterize it, was the stretch itself identical in both characterizations? Is what you saw the same in both pictures?
So I'm saying what I said that I saw is something that I didn't see or that I could not at this point like defend that. I wouldn't defend that, and I don't have like a gut feeling that like I saw it. I personally, it doesn't even mean anything to like what I want most people to get away from that goddamn stream is the fact that I fucking bulldozed him on his awful fucking takes about consent and boundaries and his bad faith in the conversation. And I am like your questions right now is what's so disappointing for me
Yeah.
because I've actually fucking ruined that conversation by um
Well, why don't we talk
by
about the
what I did.
conversation then? I haven't seen it yet. I haven't been able to find it actually. I wanted to see it a little while ago.
Oh, it's on my YouTube.
Uh, well, what went? Do you remember it enough to like talk about it or?
I mean, it's a long conversation. It's basically I believe that he was being bad faith on Stardust. I went through both of their conversations from 3 months ago to the current one where he is making like these claims about her. Um, he is pushing her on her own comfort in a conversation, and he is not allowing there to be room for her to disagree with him. Um, the motherfucker who want to talk to people about how you need to take criticism on here and you need to take criticism on there. That same motherfucker can't take one in a conversation. Um,
Yeah, I'm familiar.
and I pointed out to him and I asked him, listen, point blank, just tell me, how can Star empathize with you here while being able to have her own beliefs that are different from you? Because it seems like your version of having a conversation or having a debate means people just have to make space for your point and cannot cloud or muddy it by having their own opinion alongside it. And he couldn't do that. He gave me two situations in which she could have appropriately responded, and both of those situations left out her having any opinion of her own. And I tried to explain that to him over and over. He said that when I started pressing him about that, he made it clear that he didn't even know what Stardust's position was. But then later, 20 minutes later, decided that he wanted to explain what her position was. And I'm like, well, no, don't do that. Like, well, no, I know two different positions of hers. And I'm like, listen, the only thing you've demonstrated is that after 3 months of having this conversation with Stardust and making implications about her, is that you still don't fucking know her. Your implication of Stardust is that she hasn't properly empathized with you in this conversation. But Stardust can regurgitate what you've said to her. You cannot regurgitate how she feels, but you have constantly walked over how she's felt and told her how she's feeling and told her why she's doing what she's doing and put intent on what she's doing. Like in these conversations, you're awful. And and even though I pointed out those instances, I've used his own words in the debate. I gave him opportunities in the debate to prove how things could have gone otherwise. He could never see it, and ended up ending that conversation by telling me to his audience that I was not following the conversation for I think 2.5 hours at that point, and that I would not be able to complete like any further, like be able to like follow the conversation. So I took that as him calling me retarded. Like I'm not capable of following like your trail of thought or asking you questions. I was taking notes during that whole debate. He understood I was taking notes. I was reading back his own words to him. Uh, and we agreed several times on where we were at in the conversation. So it was really ludicrous and really really fucked up that he did that and said that. Um, After that, he said that I was too emotional that debate. I had not like people can look at my debates with like Lav and say that I get emotional because I do. She triggers the fuck out of me, in a fun way, but still, it throws me the fuck off, and I just start like screeching and doing like making memes and shit. But with Mr. Girl, it's very my arguments weren't emotional. They were rational. They were rooted in understanding and with study behind them. And I thought that calling me emotional was very dismissive. And then he also said that I was too traumatized to have that conversation, that I could not consent to having this conversation because of my history of trauma, which for me is infantilizing. And he did all of these three things at the very end of the conversation. And I told him, listen, you are telling me that either I am doing a harm to a conversation about consent. I am essentially like a drunk person to you. I can't follow a conversation and I'm not equipped for it. And so maybe the things that I'm saying about consent are harmful. I'm putting out a harm in the world. And you want to talk to me about consent? That seems unethical. So I feel like either you need to take that back and provide me the um the agency that I think that I deserve for having this conversation as tactful as I have, or say that yes, it's unethical to have this conversation with you because I don't think you can consent to it and I don't want to have a conversation, a debate about consent with someone that I think cannot actually consent. So hang up the call. He would do neither. He was very much interested in still having the conversation with me, so I hung up.
Yeah, I noticed that even today, even he was near tears with the Destiny conversation, and that carried on for God. How long was that on for? That was ridiculous.
I have not
Um,
even started it.
I don't recommend it personally.
But that was the debate that we had. I thought it was a good debate that I did. I was very upset with how it ended, and I think feeling in the right and feeling upset is what made me have so many mistakes afterwards that I very greatly regret. Not just for myself. This is not the way that I want to. This is not the way that I want to challenge Max, and I
Yeah,
think it was just
there's
I don't
something
know.
there's something connected with
I'm
that I took a lot more issue with honestly than that.
okay.
Um, I'm assuming you've watched the Chud Logic moderated thing with Stardust and Mr. Girl that took place
Yes, I did.
afterwards. Yeah, that was
Uh,
afterwards, right? I think it was afterwards
no,
because.
before. That was one of the my research streams for it.
Oh, really? That was okay. Well,
Mhm.
there were two, I think, weren't there? Because it was the last one, and then there
Um,
was. Or
no, so there was
well, I
the
was just with
conversation that they
Stardust and
had.
Mr. Girl, and then the last one at Chud Logic.
No, Chud Logic was a moderator for the Stardust and Mr. Girl. So
Yeah,
there's a Stardust Mr. Girl conversation from 3 months ago,
yeah,
first one that caused the fallout, and then the one that sparked my conversation with Max was the one that was moderated by Chud
got
Logic.
it.
That had
Okay,
happened the 2 days before we talked.
got it. All right. So one thing that really disturbed me there is he had a very subtle isn't the word, but it's difficult to pin down what he was doing. He was very obviously weaponizing language in a gray space where it doesn't seem sort of linguistically inappropriate. That either cast Stardust in a specifically sexual or victimized light in certain ways that hasn't been addressed at all as far as I can see. And there's a couple of examples that come to mind. At one point, early on in the conversation, I don't know which is first. I'll have to review it. Um, some people in chat are sort of talking about Mr. Girl and Stardust dynamics if they're in a relationship, which is like this is unfortunately typical for this kind of thing. Chud Logic clarifies to chat, no, they aren't in a relationship. And then Mr.
Actually,
Girl reiterates
I
and
made these
says,
clarifications
"Oh, did
several
you?
times in
Oh,
my debate with him. Yeah.
okay. Well, I haven't seen those, so I'll have to look at that before I talk to him tomorrow." Um, but he, if you could shoot me a link to that, that'd save me a lot of time. Um,
Yeah.
he would. Well, I don't need to explain it to you then. He'd say back, "Yeah, we and Stardust are not in a sexual relationship." Adds that word in particularly. At one point, he looks deadpan at the camera and said, "I feel like I'm raping you." Can we see that? We can't see that on Twitch, can we? Are we in trouble?
Yeah, maybe don't say it.
Okay. Well,
So he's talking about in a
that was on
video
YouTube.
game, but I
Yeah.
know what you're talking about.
I don't think you can do it in a video game on Twitch either, but yeah, fair enough. Um,
Oh.
yeah, I think we're just kind of well,
Okay, go on.
yeah, yeah. Well, you get it, right? Like, there's not really anywhere
Yeah.
to go with that. Like obviously
Um,
the purpose of that is to put Stardust into a situation where she now knows that as a result of that statement, the audience is now picturing things and is associating things with her and stuff like that. It's putting her into like a kind of subordinated stance. Like
yeah, so we're talking about where Chud Logic made the clarification and then he acknowledged it and moved on and then maybe said other things that you felt like were sexualizing in the moment or inflammatory in the moment that would maybe provoke someone to feel maybe bad about the conversation, especially looking at it in hindsight. I have acknowledged this, and I think that it's part of the fault of looking back on the situation, feeling like there were so many inflammatory moments, and the way that it ended being really solid on the idea that Max like gaslit me on my ability to have that conversation. Uh, this this way in which he communicates, this way in which he has a conversation that does not breed room for you to have an opinion or to be valid in your existence in the conversation if you are not aligned with him. All of these things combined, I think, cause someone like me to walk away from the situation and make the allegations that I made. Because in retrospect, everything looks worse, everything felt worse. I maybe started remembering pubes where maybe there was just like belly button hair. I don't know. It makes everything feel so icky afterwards. And I think the bad move, the wrong move, I could tell you from experience, is to read intention into that. I think that's the bad move. I think a better move is putting no intention on it and instead being able to highlight that these are not good tactics. And if they're not tactics, that these are not good behavior, not good etiquette or tact to have with another person in conversation. And to really question, and this has been my question with Max over and over and over, um, what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are these conversations? Because when you come into the space and you say, hey, I want people to empathize with each other. People have this sort of narrow view, this instant, I fucking hate pedophiles thing. I want people to empathize and understand each other. For you to have that feeling, but to go into most conversations, never making it possible to empathize with the other person, it does seem like the desire for empathy is one way. It's self-serving. And when you do demand so much empathy for yourself, you have to understand how you are bulldozing another person. Um, and maybe in your selfish need in these moments, you don't realize how much harm you're doing on the other individual, especially with such sensitive, provocative topics that he knows he's intending to do. So, like, we know that the nature of the conversation, that they're interesting for him because of the how provocative that they are, and that these conversations are better if people get emotional. If he has this understanding, he does need to be able to acknowledge another person's feelings. He needs to be able to acknowledge the boundaries that they're setting in the conversation and adjust for that. But it seems like adjust for that and maybe understand why they end in the chaos that they end without, in my opinion, in the situation with Stardust, without putting all of the blame on that fallout on her. um like that was what I set out to do. It's sort of like an anti-gaslight stream, maybe help the two of them see that, yeah, I don't think you both should have had this conversation, and I think you both failed at it for different reasons. But mostly, Max, you understand what you're doing. It's you've somehow managed to find no fault in your own actions in this situation, and I think, while maybe Star has acknowledged some, like, you still acknowledge none, and I think that that is it's going to be hard for anyone to watch and to swallow that.
I think the
Like
explanation is
Max is
probably. Go on,
I'm
sorry.
sorry, what?
No,
I
as
was
you were
just
gonna
going to
say.
say, like, I was going to say Max is not, like, it's not his fault that I did what I did. I understand it is completely my fault, but I think what he was able to do is understand how I got to where I got. And I appreciated him for that in that conversation. Um, I still, like, don't like his content right now. Maybe ever. I've always disagreed with him, especially on consent and stuff like that. So it's like I'm very much in the same bag as I am with Max now as I was like back then. But I'm trying to remove what anybody could have pulled away, which is like the idea that he intended to like do that. Um, to me or to Star, to anyone that he's having these like impossible conversations with.
You think it's nothing
Early
intentionally?
on, yeah. Early on into looking into Max's lore, he doesn't like being psychoanalyzed, but I tend to do it to people when I'm being honest about my interpretation. And I read Max as somebody who has the entire conversation like on his own. And this is sort of something that happens with people who are in or who have been in abusive situations. Like
Yep.
before the person even disagrees with you, you're like making your argument and you're like grasping for it. Um like you need to do everything, and even before they've chimed in to tell you you're right or wrong, you're just like, no, 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 I know what you're gonna say. And like you've thought everything through because you're just desperate for them to understand you and to agree with you and to accept you. That's the charitable light that I've always taken, that over the last few weeks it's been really hard for me to get back there. But I for me that's like my best faith interpretation of Max and his conversation habits that piss that trigger the fuck out of me.
Well, if that's a healthy position for you to be in, and you're not intending to take that anywhere, then I'm not exactly going to challenge that, except to note that
Yes, please don't
I don't share
please don't
that
stake anything
perception.
on my situation. I would like it to stop causing harm to him.
Yeah, I disagree with your appraisal of his motives, but I'll leave it at that.
I understand.
What time is it? It's 3 a.m. Anything else you want us to talk about, or?
Nope, that's it.
All right.
Hopefully we have another conversation in the future
Yep, sure
after
thing.
I've watched your content.
Anytime. Send me that debate. I'll look it over. I'll try to look it over. We'll see if I actually wake up in time for the thing tomorrow.
Okay.
All right.
You have a good night.
Take care.
Bye.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.